Well, good evening, everybody. I hope everything is up and running here. I'm going to do a quick check of the sound here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it looks like we're on the air. That's the only way I can see my meter. Now, tonight, we're going to have a live interview with Paula C Blades. And Paula has put out the first of two videos in her docuseries about Timothy Charles Holmseth and what she uncovered during the course of her research and investigation. Paula is a huge supporter of Fiona McConnell, and when she became aware of what the situation was with Tim, or what he was doing with Field McConnell, she decided to investigate and see just what the situation is here. And so without any further ado, let me bring Paula into the room. Good evening, Paula. Are you able to hear and all that good stuff?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yep, we are 5 by 5. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you kind of give a brief autobiography of who you are, and you can migrate that into explaining how you got involved with Field McConnell and why you did this video. So go ahead.
Okay, hi. So I'm a mother of 5. I'm in my early 50s. I work with children. I have been an early childhood educator and a child care worker for approximately 30 years. Raised 5 of my own, did a little bit of work with respite and special needs children as well. My sister and I were victims of sexual abuse. My sister was trafficked, which is why I have such a strong desire to help others in this movement. About 12 years ago, I ended up turning my childhood perpetrator in. I found out he was touching other children, and my sister and I went to court, and that was a really traumatic experience for both of us, but I got through it. Took me about 3 years to recover from that. But that is where my heart is. My heart has always been with kids and helping to bring awareness and protect them from the things that I wasn't protected from as a child. And a lot of people say, "Oh, you're an Illuminati because of the emoji that I have, the hush girl." That just represents me as a child being hushed. I didn't have a voice, so that's just a symbol for me. And there's a little bit of a creep effect to it. So I do kind of like that because it brings attention, but it just represents where I was at as a child. So, anyways, that's me in a nutshell. Can you hear me? I
Okay, I had to turn my mic on. Sorry about that.
Okay, sorry. I was like, did I lose everybody?
No, no, they're all hearing you. This
Yeah.
is at my end. Like I said, I'm not very good at this. You had brought up with the perpetrator, pedophile that you dealt with, and you said that he actually repeated his activities after your situation.
Yeah. See, what happened is he was like an uncle, but he was a young uncle. So he was the one that babysat everybody. And I was a fighter, but my baby sister wasn't. So he used to bring all his friends around, and that raping and sexual exploitation of my sister went on for about 6 years, and nobody would listen to us. But when you get out of that and you move on with your life, it's like you're just glad it's over. And what traumatized me the most is when I found out he was touching other kids. I never thought of that. I just thought, oh, it's over. I didn't think that he would continue with that behavior because at the time I didn't know any different. And so that kind of devastated me because I wondered how many kids had gotten hurt during the time that I didn't think of that. So that was added to added to my recovery. That tore me up, and I think that was the hardest part about it is that I didn't see it soon enough. Do you know what I mean?
hmm Now, if I could ask another question, explain to everyone why you did this video and its upcoming second part.
I did this for Field. I was a huge supporter of Field McConnell. I was friends with his wife. I never spoke to Field, but I did speak to his wife. I was friends with a lot of the people that surrounded him. Um, I was a huge fan, and he was fine until Tim and Randy came along. He was doing fine. He's a huge whistleblower, 9/11 whistleblower, an official 9/11 whistleblower. Among other things, he was the one that exposed the corruption in the senior executive services with his sister. The autopilot in the planes. He was the one that exposed that too. So he's a hero in a lot of ways. And when he was deceived so deeply, and when I found out, like when I finally found out, which was not until like January, December or January, it broke my heart. And I was like, no, I've got to find out what happened. So that's what I've been doing. Because I promoted Tim so much, and I was working with Tim and Randy. I was working very closely with Randy. I mean, people don't realize how closely I worked with Randy. So I felt that it was my duty because I led so many people down the wrong path to correct that record. I felt terrible for it. So I've done the research now. I know what I'm looking at. It took me weeks, 6 weeks of reading files, his book, listening to audio tapes. I have a pretty good grasp of what happened today. So yeah, we can talk about that more.
All right. Well, at this point, why don't you go over a few points that you brought up in your video that you really want to get out there?
Okay. Um, the big one was the Wayan Kruger tapes. So I found I had a lot of those that I had downloaded from a couple of years ago, but what I noticed that was consistent in Tim's work, or it may be Randy's work, is the fact that those audio tapes were edited and re-edited and edited. So they're all taken out of context and strung together to create a narrative that's not true. I found many versions. The other thing is Wayan Kruger herself had said those audio tapes are based on third party witness testimonies that came in via email. And during that time, her system to verify whether those people were real or not was down. She couldn't even verify if those were real people that were that.
Okay, we lost audio, Paula. I'm not sure what
Can you
happened.
still hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, here we go.
Everybody still knew everybody knew Kim Picasio and John Reagan because of the Haley Cummings case, which tells, I mean, anybody could have sent those emails. And secondly, Tim was supposed to investigate. There was no investigation. He just ran with the narrative. I think what stood out for me the most is the first I actually saw anything of those videotapes was in his East Grand Forks case. I think that was 2014 or 2015. And he mentioned it. And it was the first I saw any mention of anything. The first audio tapes that came public that I could find were after Randy had bought his information. So that was very telling too, because it tells me that she was in control and probably stirring things up. So, is there any other question you want to ask? Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I know you had mentioned
Can you
something
guys still
about.
hear me?
Yeah, you're coming
Because
through
it's so
fine.
quiet. I don't know whether I
Well,
am
yeah, you're coming through fine.
being heard or not.
Yeah, you're coming through fine, Paula, as long as you can hear me. Um, let's see. Talk about Kim a little bit, because she's kind of in
Okay,
the
good.
middle of
Perfect.
all
Thank you.
this.
So, okay, the other one was the other issue that really stood out for me was that Rothstein connection. I mean, that I've proved that completely that was bogus.
Hmm.
Um, the ABT company, the biotech company, is a completely different corporation that went down with the Rothstein files. So why Cobra fed that information to Tim is strange to me. Um, Either way, it's disinformation. It's not real. It's completely false. I've proven that. So I've debunked that. I've debunked the Wayan Kruger tapes. And what was the other one? What I found consistent with Tim's work is that he will take something and then change that story as he goes to suit his narrative. It's like he has, when I started comparing his work, he has 2 or 3 or 4 versions of the same situation,
Hmm.
but it changes. It constantly changes, so it's no longer the truth. Like, so you can't. It's almost like he's got these different articles set up so that he can pull any version at the time to fit. See, I wrote about that a long time ago. I'm going to pull this and use this one today. Oh, look, I said that 3 years earlier, but they're all different. They're all variations. So he's a bit of a spin doctor, but I think he learned that from Cobra Stobbs because it was Cobra Stobbs that was feeding him all that information during that time. So, yeah, he
Well,
hates women too, from what I can
yeah,
tell.
well,
He
he
has
had a
woman
big.
issues, abandonment issues.
Hmm.
Kim Picasio, in my opinion, was targeted in that book along with Wayan Kruger. It was clear to me that um, he doesn't like females.
Hmm.
Um, for whatever reasons, I am not completely sure, but everything was spun against the women. He didn't like John Reagan either, but
Mm-hmm.
that's because Cobra Stobbs was basically telling him not to like him. Um, I like again, like I said in the video, I would argue that Cobra Stobbs was the one that dictated that entire narrative of the book. I don't even think that's Tim's work. Um, in my opinion, he was completely controlled through the whole thing. I even looked at the court records. It's like rereading his book over, and the angrier he got, the more targeted those paragraphs became. So he was without the attention of the people that once gave him attention. It was almost as if he was angrier. I don't know. I think that
Well, let me ask you this. Is there anything at this point that you could
that again.
address?
That's what I make of it. The bottom line is that he was really great at collecting timelines and taking down the information, but his interpretation of the information that he collected was so far off, in my opinion, that I literally wanted to reach through the book and the court documents and shake him and go, "What are you thinking?" Because it was that there was that much of a disconnect. And I believe that he probably deep down knows that he's got that disconnect, and that's probably why he depended on people like Cobra to make those connections for him. Also, I believe that Randy Erickson is the one that determines what he writes today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's an honest assessment. Another thing that I noticed that they focused Cobra Stobbs and Timothy focused. I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to apologize in advance, but they made Kim out to be basically, I'm sorry, a cheating wife. But
Mm-hmm.
my honest assessment from reading all of the court documents, I would, to take a educated guess, I would say that during the time of the Haley Cummings case, I would say that Kim Picasio was actually separated from her husband.
That's
And
correct.
that's
She
just my
had,
assessment. Kim would
yeah,
have to confirm whether that's true or not.
yeah.
But that's what I surmised from reading all the court
Mm-hmm.
documents. So why they were attacking her in that manner, again, speaks that, says to me that there's mommy issues there to some degree. So, um, yeah. Um, like I said, though, Tim is really good at documenting the details of things, but he has no discernment, in my opinion, as to what things mean. He lacks the he can't expand his thinking. It's very narrow minded and it's very biased.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he bases a lot of his, he believes that hearsay evidence is um, proof. So, that the email, some stranger sends an email to weigh in and she reads it to him, he takes that as evidence. And what I what I noticed is that by him, because he put that into the court records, he believes now that it is real. I mean, you can put as much, you know, hearsay into a court document as you want. If you don't have the evidence to back what this third party is saying, it's a nothing burger, in my opinion. And that's what I found. I didn't know whether or not he even realized that it wasn't credible, or that probably half of what was being said was not even true. So, and that's where I got into assessing all of the personality disorders. So yeah, I mean, I really, really dug into this. I may not be accurate on everything, but I was trying to get across to the audience that he is incapable of connecting dots correctly, and I will stand by that. I went through and checked his work, and I could have probably corrected and put the record straight on his work right from the beginning, based on the investigations that I did.
Mm-hmm.
There was just so many errors that and misreading. That there's this one part in the book, and Cobra Stobbs creates this like state of emergency in this hotel room. And Wayanne Kruger is panicking, and she says she feels like she's having a heart attack because she can't find her medication or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a fish story that got out of hand. I believe Weanne corrected a lot of that. Um, and a lot of this, I think, goes to now you made an assessment based on research in regards to narcissism and borderline narcissism and how it applies to Timmy, in your opinion. You want to expand on that a little bit? Uh oh. You still there? All right, we seem to be having a technical problem. Let me. Um, we'll see what happened here. I think she's having problems at her end with the uh, her audio coming in. So I got a way to contact her. I'm gonna see what happened here. But what I can say is that she does agree with a lot of people's um, narratives, and Tim being a borderline narcissist or narcissist, in that he has to be in the middle of everything. He has to uh, be important, the center of attention, and when people disagree with him and all that.
With
Oh, there you.
confidence in his books. I wish I had done more research. I think all of us in hindsight wish that we had done more research into his
Paula,
work.
we lost a lot of your audio.
Um, you think because
Yeah,
you just
there
think
was a gap in
because
there when you lost.
somebody has been targeted in court for so
Hmm.
long that they are telling the truth and they are being a targeted individual. But when you look at the slanderous um, articles he wrote and the lies that he put out about so many people, I see why it went to the extreme that it went to. I mean, if there wasn't, in my opinion, if there wasn't slander on such a horrific level in the first place from Tim, I don't believe any of this would have been an issue at all. So, anyways,
Thought this was kind of a rather curious message that just came across. Um, Basically, she's saying that she'll pay me money if I don't have you on the air. And this is a little bit different than they've been threatening me because having you on the air. And we lost Paula for a minute. I'm going to wait and see if she comes back. But, we everything was going good, and we had a bit of a technical difficulty. So, um, while she gets her situation straightened out, I'm going to wait and see what happens here. Well, they have to. What it is they have to have content. They have to have something for people to see and hear. They just can't not put something up, because what happens there is that people will lose interest and drop out, and so they put anything up there. Well, Joker, what the handlers are is people like Randy Erickson and some of these other people who basically uh, do things that um, keep him in the limelight, keep him, uh, I don't know, on message, and they control the message. Timmy does not write anything. Um, Now, infiltrated by Truth, who, by the way, Randy says is an impersonator and not part of any of them, um, has made all kinds of threats. Basically, Infiltrated has threatened me that if I do not stop talking about Timothy, she is going to hire a bunch of information disseminators, and she is going to spread slander and defamation about me all over the internet. She's threatened to make sure that I don't get a job and all this. And so, I don't get into threats or anything like that. So Infiltrated can threaten me all she wants, and it's just not going to happen. Timothy Charles Holmseth is a fraud, and as you have heard from Paula, he has destroyed Field McConnell, and he's destroyed others. He turns against everyone that he comes in contact with. And the most notable exception is Randy, who basically has made it so he is completely dependent on her. Trying to message to see what's going on. We lost Paula. She may be having difficulties with her method she's using to log on to here. So I'm going to give her a chance to see what she's going to do. Let's see. What can I do in the meantime here? Well, basically, yeah, I'm not, Michael, the problem I believe is at her end. But I'm waiting to see if this is going to get straightened out. Well, Infiltrated, you're one to talk about spreading rumors. What about the rumors that you spread around on your Telegram? I mean, you put up all kinds of false and defamatory things, and you've also made threats against me. You've actually engaged in a bit of blackmail and extortion, demanding that I quit talking about you, for instance. You don't mind putting my full real name out there and my exact address, and yet when people start talking about you, you get all upset. I think that's just a bit hypocritical. And here we go. See, you're bringing up this Bulger business. Now, you know that that's a flat out lie. I am not Mr. Bulger. I have no association with Mr. Bulger. This is a fantasy that you and Timmy's handlers have made up. And, I have been threatened because of your post. I've got a guy who came in and literally threatened me on Twitter. And, you are inciting violence with what you are saying about me on Telegram. And so, if something happens to me, your post will be entered in as evidence in any investigation because I archive on a regular basis all of Telegram, all of the BitChute, all the Gab posts that are made, and so that if something happens to me, you people will be investigated. Yeah, I'll ask her, Levi, if she ever gets back on the air. She went down, and I don't know what happened. I'm waiting to hear back from her. She's way up in Canada someplace, so I don't know how their communications are up there. Um, I'm gonna wait and see if she gets in touch with me. This whole thing may have just. Okay, I've been told she's rebooting. So it's a computer problem. This has happened to me before where the computer crashes and you got to go through the whole rigmarole. So we'll see how that works out. Infiltrated by truth. For the last time, you and I never ever had any agreement. Uh, I don't know what drugs you're taking up there, um, and all that. And uh, I'm not going to lie about Timmy's underwear or apologize for Timmy's underwear. I mean, it's in the shot. There is underwear laying on the floor next to the photograph. And, you know, why are you even worried about underwear? I mean, you keep bringing this up. You know, you you're weird is the only thing I can say. You you know, Infiltrated says a lot of things over on Telegram, and yet she doesn't want to apologize for over there. But um, you know, it's hypocritical. I did, yeah. Well, what have you said about me? Uh, Infiltrated. You seem to think that this is a one-way street. That only you can say things and nobody else can say things. Let's. I can't get it on this one, so let me go back. I just find it really interesting that um, Infiltrated is more worried about Tim Holmseth's reputation than she is in mine, and some of the wild things that she posts over there. She's not for the truth. She's for supporting Timmy. Uh, she's got herself brainwashed into believing everything Timmy says. So, Well, I don't know. Levi. Okay, here we are. Here's the threat, folks. Infiltrated by Truth is going to get revenge for what I am doing here. Shame on you. See, Infiltrated can say things about me and others over on Telegram and elsewhere, and doesn't bother her a bit. Yet I bring up legitimate criticism against Tim Holmseth and those controlling him, and she goes off into blackmail land, saying that she's going to seek revenge. So, there you are. This is how brainwashed these people are. And if you watch Paula's video, you're going to get a sense of what she has uncovered about Holmseth and those who control him. Okay. Here is Paula's link on her YouTube page. You can all watch it. And I'm going to show you, this is rather interesting comment here. Now, she says that I was awful to Randy, and she wants me to make a formal apology to my number one, Timmy Holmseth. You better follow my orders. She is ordering me. I have got to apologize to Timmy, the quote-unquote war correspondent. Jesus. I mean, who does this woman think she is? I mean, I don't know. It astonishes me that people have gotten themselves so worked up with this guy and to actually believe that crap that comes out of Tim and his handlers. But, just your threats are meaningless. If you publish this stuff, you publish it. I have no control over your actions. You are a fake Christian. The truth is a stranger to you. And there's really nothing that can be done. And here she goes again. Mert, a.k.a. Mr. Bulger, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Laughish, whoever that is, stay out Bulger. Once again, you are a liar. This Bulger bullshit you keep coming up with is slander and defamation. You are a liar. You are defying the word of God. There's a commandment. You shall not bear false witness on your neighbor. You shall not lie. And you're doing just that. Well, I have been told by people on the PPTF that Infiltrated by Truth is an impersonator and that Infiltrated by Truth isn't even part of the PPTF. She's basically a phony. And basically all she is some kind of super fan of Tim Holmseth, and that's it. It is not Randy. It's this Canadian girl that, by the name of Alexandra, that has multiple usernames on Telegram. Randy, from what I understand, has never logged into this show. And Infiltrated, you have to understand something. This is my channel, and I'll talk to you if I feel like it. You're the one that's, you've been told not to come in here to begin with. Which is funny because you whine and cry about me over on Telegram about coming into your channel. Uh, the High Command, which is a fraud, is run by a collection of people with Randy having some control over it, but there's a group that basically coordinate content, and that is what is the situation here. And unfortunately, there's Paula's having some kind of major situation. I think her communications went down completely. So I'm not sure where we're going to go with this right now. I'm going to see. I'm going to see if she's able to recover. Well, yeah, Tim and Randy are lawyers and liars, and that's basically it. Okay, Paula, that might not work. Now, Paula had to sign off, and she's signing back in again, so we'll see if we can get this thing going. She's trying to connect. Right now, I've got a blank screen on here. I'm going to do a quick refresh of my own just in case it's at my end. So, okay, let me do this. Okay. Okay, see if that corrected it, Paula.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So when did you lose me? How long ago?
It's quite a while ago. You just kind of went boop.
And then I was gone. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry. So how far did I get in my conversation? Because it went quiet and then I didn't know what was happening. So
yeah, I believe you were in the middle of the Cobra situation and how he was involved in everything. And what I was wanting to do is discuss Kim Bacasio a little bit more.
okay. So did you want my assessment of what I thought the situation was with Kim?
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe that, first of all, I believe that Kim was the only one that really had it together in that situation. I believe that Cobra was the biggest shit disturber.
Mm-hmm.
He inserted himself in on every level. He created the narrative for Tim. He was the balls that Tim didn't have. I'm sorry to say it so bluntly.
That's fine.
Tim lacked self-esteem, and I think he lacked self-worth, and I think that Cobra was everything that he wanted to be, and he ate up Cobra's narrative like a little lapdog, and no, Cobra pitted everybody against each other. And Tim went along with it. They even Cobra painted Kim out to be some cheating, like, wife too. I went through the court documents, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. My assessment of Kim's situation, based on the court documents that I read and all the emails that I read, I would go out on a limb here and state that my assessment is that Kim and Mike Picasso were separated during the Haley Cummings situation. I believe that they were going through problems, and I don't believe that they were actually together. I believe they were going through a separation at that time. For Cobra, and this is just my assessment, you guys can tell me whether I'm correct or not after, for Cobra to paint her in such a bad light and for Tim to eat that up and run with it, I believe was horrible. I feel terrible because I guess being a woman and going through my own situation, I could relate to her on many ways. There's this one part in the book, that hotel scene where Cobra creates that state of emergency. It's like he creates this emergency and everybody get down, and in the room, and anybody that's ever watched any of his videos knows that he is just like one crazy, like, badass. Loves, that's the thrill of the game for him. But he had everybody doing that in an actual meeting. He created this emergency, like bullets were going to come flying through the window, and Wayne Kruger is like freaking out. She thinks she's going to have a heart attack, probably having an anxiety attack. And Kim goes in, according to this is what Tim is describing in his book. She goes into the fetal position on the bed, which is a normal response for both women. Okay. And Tim reads it as she's a sick individual because she didn't phone 911. I was like, how could you? I wanted to jump through the pages like so many times ago. How can you read that way? Like, he has no emotional intelligence. He read everything incorrectly. Basically, he couldn't make the assessments for himself, so he went with Cobra's assessment of the situation, and he ran with it because I don't think that he had enough self-esteem or trust in himself to trust his own judgment. I just think that he, like I said in the video, I would argue that Cobra Stavs wrote the entire book.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think he was the biggest shit disturber. He inserted himself everywhere, and I didn't just look at Tim's work. I looked at all Tim's work first, and then I had my and I all the videos and everything that I could find. I mean, I was nonstop reading and digging for 6 weeks. You guys have no idea the amount of information that I read, and then I looked at Kim's stuff to see because I didn't want to be influenced by Kim's stuff first. I looked and then I compared, and I actually agreed with most of what Kim said in her injunction. It would have been how I would have wrote that myself. I believe that Tim has abandonment issues. I believe that when Kim stopped talking to him, he was upset that he wasn't getting the attention. I think that he has a problem with women. And that's why he started. I think that he was getting so much attention through all that mess that he was writing during the Haley Cummings case, which was in fact Cobra's narrative. Cobra was feeding him this information that when it all stopped, he didn't know what to do with himself. He wanted more, so he started in with if you can't get any positive attention, the negative attention will do. The first that I saw of the Wayne Kruger tapes, the first mention of them that I saw in the court records was in his Timothy Holmseth versus East Grand Forks. I think that was like 2014 or 2015. I would, and I thought, oh, there's where the twist begins. And then the first actual published, the chopped up versions, because they're all edited and chopped. I found so many versions of that. I believe that Randy was the one, once she bought all of his intellectual property, once she owned everything, she started chopping together and creating narratives for money. She was like, you know what I mean? She was the money girl. She owned the website. She was in control of everything. So she started putting that out. And now I believe that Serial Brain 2 posted that video, not because Serial Brain 2 believed it. I believe that they were trying to stimulate the conversation to get people awake. Because the entire Trump administration was trying to expose how fake the news had become, right? And I believe that they were trying to show that it's not just, it was on both sides. Do you know what I mean? Both sides, like everybody's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they were talking about the mainstream media, but they were also talking about the citizen journalists too. And because if you, like, I followed the Q drops, and in there it was proceed with caution because you are the news now. And I read that as, be careful not to become what you hate, which is the propaganda that was on a lot, not all of the news sites, but a lot of the news sites, right? There's a lot of propaganda going on both sides. I mean, and this has been going on for years. It wasn't just with Trump. This has been for years. But I think you have to be really careful to investigate and find evidence to back what you are writing. Anyways, I believe that that Serial Brain 2 was trying to stimulate the conversation so people would start digging and waking up and do your own investigations. Make sure you have evidence to back your hearsay claims. Make sure, you know what I mean? And same with 107. I believe that Lynn Wood posted that again to stimulate, because Lynn Wood, I mean, he would basically came out and said, you have to be like a jury. You have to, just because it's out there, you have to go back and investigate. If you were a good juror, how would you handle this situation? Well, I'll tell you right now, based on I was 6 weeks down this rabbit hole. Based on the information that I read and my assessment, if somebody was to ask me today if Kim Picasio was guilty of child sex trafficking, I would say no. If I was in a jury seat, and I don't even know Kim. So it's not based on whether I like her or not, or I feel bad that I pushed this narrative for 2 years unknowingly. I'm trying to set the record straight here. And honestly, now that I've done an assessment of the situation, an honest research assessment, I would say not guilty on that one. There's nothing in there that's credible, in my opinion. Even the Rothstein stuff, I debunked that in my video. That's all bullshit, and that was created by Cobra. And Tim ran with it. Even when I did the company checks, it's not the same company. When I cross-referenced the corporations, so you guys can still hear me, right?
Yeah, you're coming through fine.
Okay. So, like I said, and Tim has a lot of versions. I even cross-checked his own work, and that's why I did that. Those comparisons with the Richard Grant thing at the beginning. I wanted to show people that he has three or four versions of everything that he writes. He spins it, and Kirk Pendergrass said that to me. He said, no, he goes, I don't want anything to do with them. He will twist the truth so far. And I agree 100% with Kirk. But it wasn't until I read all the court records and the book. And actually, I mean, I spent weeks down. You wouldn't believe. I read more than people. I could debate anybody on this and actually pull up the facts because it's so fresh in my head right now. But I agree with him 100%. Tim is a spin doctor. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's got a problem with women. He hates women. I think he hated Kim because she didn't give him attention. I think that he turned on Wayan because Wayan actually did give him the time of day. She spent a lot of time. I think she thought he was genuine at first. Um, and then when she realized he wasn't, then he turned on her. Anybody that's ever helped him, Kirk Pendergrass, Chris Hallett, anybody that ever helped him, he ended up turning on them when they went, "Oh, we've had enough of your shit made up, Tim." And then he turned on everyone. He even turned on Field, and Field inserted himself and intentionally had himself arrested trying to help Tim. And look what happened when Denise McConnell reached out to Timothy Holmseth to get an affidavit signed to get bail for Field. Tim refused to help her. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like, that's when Field knew he had been deceived. But I didn't know that. And people will ask, and I noticed that Levi asked why it took me so long, because Field was arrested on November the 4th, and I went back to work after, for the first time in, like, when did I testify? It was I testified in the court. It was like 2012. It took me 5 years to be able to go back to work. That's how traumatized I was from that. From when I testified against our childhood perpetrators. Did you hear that? And did that get cut off, or did you guys hear that?
Oh no, that got through. It was
okay. So I was back to work, and I wasn't. I was back to work. I was at a new job. I was concentrating very heavily on doing the best I could do in my own job, because I was, like I said, it was really important to me because I was back after 5 years off, right? And I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't around for 6 months, so I missed a fundamental portion of the stuff that I would have fact checked back then. So I just assumed that the information was correct. And when I came back in and Randy and I started talking on a regular basis, I just jumped in. I just assumed that they had it, that they were on top of it. Do you know what I mean? So that was a big mistake for me. It was a huge learning lesson for me, and I wanted to explain that too, because I want hopefully people will learn from my mistakes.
I don't know if you can see the screen, but Levi
I can see it. I'll answer that
Levi,
right now.
hey, okay.
Okay, so in 2020, Tim and Randy were driving all over the country. That's when those photographs were taken. So I believe that Randy stood and had Tim posing everywhere. So in 2019, Tim was on the road. In 2020, Tim and Randy were on the road together, because Randy used to phone me all the time. And they were going from city to city, and I believe that she had him posing so that Randy was manipulating Tim, in my opinion, and Tim didn't know it. So all those photographs that you see were done in one summer. They're all done in the summer. So, and because they drove from one side of the country to the other, and they went to all sorts of locations together. And that's when those photos were done. So she may be using them today as if Levi, she wouldn't tell me exactly where she was. She just told me they went everywhere. So she used to laugh about stuff like she was smarter than everybody else to me. That she so they went everywhere together. They were on this like road trip together for like a whole summer, and that was 2020. Now here's the thing, like Lynn Wood bought to Motley in April of 2020. So they probably posed for those photographs, probably passing through and then coming back. So do you know what I mean? There was like 2 different times. So let's stop and take more pictures on the way back, because I believe in Randy's mind, she was going to use those photographs so that she could manipulate the narrative to make money or control Tim and control the narrative anyways. So um Randy's not who she portrays herself to be. I saw sides of her. Why the photo shooting during the road trip? So that she could write the narratives. Like, oh, okay, so right now. So Lynn Wood is saying, I don't know Timothy, this and that. And they're saying, well, we were there. We dropped the book off. So I think that she's got all these photographs in place so that she can use them. So she's probably got 100,000 of these photographs all over North America so that she can say, here's proof of life. There's Tim with his book. But I already know that they were taking photographs everywhere because she told me she was. So that's all crap. Are they still on the road? No. It is my opinion that Randy has not had any contact, maybe by phone or email, but not in person. Randy doesn't know where Tim is, in my opinion. That's my honest opinion. She has not had any knowledge of his actual whereabouts for quite some time. She's playing like she does, but she doesn't. She doesn't. So either he got away or he is being protected. I don't necessarily, he could be running that Gab account. It looks like him, but like Lynn Wood said, Lynn says it's a psyop. I tend to agree with Lynn Wood. It's not quite how Tim writes. I think that Randy is this. There's not just one of Randy. You can ask Laugh at You. She used to be. Sometimes it wasn't her running her messenger accounts, right? Laugh at You. We were picking up. Him and I were picking up on stuff about Randy early on. Him and I started discussing stuff, and he was losing it because he was sending her. Okay, so she was sending Laugh at You in the line of fire, and they were threatening his life. And then when they did that and he got upset over it, she was just like, screw you. He's a bitch. I never told him that I was ever going to help him. She doesn't care about people. He was in danger at one point, and she put him in that position with backing him up, and she didn't care that he was in danger. She did not care about him at all. And it's the same with Truth Punisher. We knew that she was using Truth Punisher. That wasn't Tim putting those. We know, we saw the photographs, your little screenshots there, Truth Punisher, or Alex, whatever your name is, in the Timothy videos. And I'll tell you right now, there was, so Jay contacted Loki, and Loki got in touch with me, and Loki and I sought help, legal help for her, and we called down eyes on the situation to make sure that Infiltrated was safe, because we knew that Randy could possibly put her in danger as well, because she thinks, see, by doing that, by somebody like Infiltrated, who is like in love with him, who thinks that she's doing all the right things, yet they've got to hook her somehow. So how do they do the hook, line, and sinker? They will start retweeting her, making her like she's important. What did they do? They put up some of her rants, remember? Some of her rants. They started publishing some of her, Randy started publishing some of her voice recordings on their channel. That's how they get people like Truth Punisher to do their dirty work for them, to fight for them, to rally people down the wrong path. And we were very concerned. That was when Joe Biden we were divided I used to work with Jay all the time. We were divided on a couple things. But when it comes to like taking advantage of people and their mental health situations, we agree. There's some places that you don't cross those lines. And he reached out through Loki to me, and Loki and I sought lawful advice, and we were shown how to bring attention onto social media, how to actually bring in the authorities to bring eyes down to watch the situation. And Loki and I executed that. And they have been watching. This has been confirmed to me. But Truth Punisher was jealous of Randy. She thought they were having an affair. Yeah, okay. Randy calls herself the publisher. Well, yeah, well, we know. See, the thing with Randy is Randy doesn't know how to research. She couldn't research her way out of a wet paper bag, and that's the truth. And clearly, since I left the building, her research has gone downhill, right? Pushing Kim as a child trafficker is putting Kim's. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you on that, Glow. Kim, if you're hearing, I am so sorry that I did not wake up to this sooner. I feel terrible. I'm trying to correct the record now. Now that I know how many Kim, look at Chris. I believe Chris Hallett was murdered because of Randy's interference. Why was Randy Erickson in touch with Neely Blanchard right before Chris was murdered? Why did Neely Blanchard send Randy Erickson all of her court documents? After, Tim had maliciously attacked Chris and Kirk in like February of 2020. There's no way that they were in touch. E-Claws had like washed their hands off of Randy and Tim. So any of this nonsense where these court records that are missing out of Broward with that little receipt is nonsense, in my opinion. Why she is pushing Kim as a trafficker, I believe it's to take the focus off of other things. I believe that Randy is creating chaos intentionally as a look over here, not over there scenario. Because, I mean, what's been going on in the background? I mean, the Epstein stuff is blown wide open. While Epstein's blown wide open, she's still going after Kim Picasio. Randy and I discussed Chris's murder on many occasions, Levi. I probably cried for 2 weeks over that. I believe that Randy was instrumental in triggering Neely. If you want my honest opinion, I can't prove it. Why was Randy inserting herself? It reminds me of Cobra stuff. Like Randy just inserts herself everywhere. Everybody was going about their own business until Randy came along. And it's like everybody back in the Haley Cummings case were going about their business until Cobra Stobbs came along. So, I mean, we have a wash and repeat. We have Cobra Stobbs giving him the balls that Timmy didn't have to do what he needed to do or what he wanted to do. And now we have the mummy, which is Randy, so that Timmy has a teat to suck off because of his mummy issues. And I'm sorry, Tim, but you got some mummy issues. So whatever the agenda is, I believe that they are trying to. You're welcome, Kim. I'm sorry. I am. I'm truly sorry. I believe for my part in this, and that I didn't wake up sooner. The scenario though is like of the characters between Cobra Stobbs and Randy Lynn Erickson. It's like you've got the male and female version, and they're doing the same thing. And because Tim gets a lot of attention for some reason, I mean, I believe they have used him and manipulated him to take focus off of what's really going on. Who are the real finders? Who is really doing the sex trafficking? We know that Hillary Clinton is involved. We know that there's Epstein ties. So why are we focusing on people that are not involved? Is to take the focus off of like what's really happening. So who are they? Sorry, I missed that last question. Can you put that last question up that Levi?
Yeah,
Um, I missed that. Sorry. I mean, this is my opinion, and I'm like, I'm not emotionally invested into. Did Kirk ever say anything about the time period in which he and Timothy were living in Field's home after Field was arrested? Okay, so Tim wasn't living in Field's home. Tim was living with Randy, um, and Kirk was only there from the time that Field was arrested until about 2 weeks before Christmas. So what's that, like 5, 6 weeks? And when he left without Randy's permission, Randy went all crazy about it and Tim went nuts and they attacked him because, of course, Randy wasn't in control because Randy's a control freak. But Tim is yes, Tim is the patsy. Definitely, I would agree with that. Definitely would agree with that. See, people say, "Oh, Paula, you don't know what you're talking about," but I do. People need to realize that I spoke with Randy on the phone for a year and a half solid, all the time, like every other day. So if people say you don't know what was going on and that you weren't in the loop, I'm sorry, but I don't know anybody that was probably closer to that situation that can give a better assessment than me. Tim is not a patsy. He's a criminal. Well, there's culpability for sure because when you okay, let's go back to the Wayan Kruger tapes. Okay, we know that they were edited. We know that it's third party testimony, and we know that it came in from emails. That Wayan Kruger was unable to validate whether those people were even real at the time. Okay. Again, I believe somebody was trying to create a false a scapegoat, a red herring, like I said in my video. And I believe that Kim was the target of that. And they used Wayan as the catalyst to do that. Because Wayan, I would describe Wayan as like, she was a hard worker. She had her heart's in the right place, but she's got that biblical child innocence that, do you know what I mean? Where she sees things through a very trusting eyes and wouldn't dream that somebody was trying to capitalize on her, right? So John and Lee, yes, he was a patsy too. That was Fiona Bartlett that put her up to that. Doing that. Fiona, I can tell you, Fiona's a phony too, according to the people that I knew that were in her MK Ultra recovery rooms. I actually was friendly with all the people that were in Fiona Bartlett's room, and they said that she was there gathering intel so that she could write her books. Sorry, can you go back to that? What did you say there, Levi? Sorry, trying to follow here. Let me go back and see what you're trying to answer some questions. Paula, did you hear about Daniel, Stella, and Timothy was conspiring to kill Denise McConnell? Okay, now I have heard stuff like that. I did hear that. I have no evidence of it. If any of you guys have any of those screenshots from that day, if you could forward them to me, I would really appreciate it. There was a plan to harm Denise, and it is my understanding. I can't confirm this. It is my understanding from talking to people that are close to Field that that's why he sent her to England to keep her safe. I believe that was what happened. So yes, Paula and Mert. I wonder if Timmy created the Wayan emails. Do you know what? Somebody created those. That was definitely a red herring or a diversion. Whoever created them, I don't know, but I do believe that it was created. It was a high profile case. What better diversion, what better catalyst to use for diverting attention away from the Epstein files. And I mean, let's face it, did they not get rekindled when Randy came on board in 2018? They did. Kim picked up narratives from Preacher Dan and said he was an agent for Fiona. Do you know what? I think that Dan was innocent. I think he was manipulated too. As crazy as his stuff is at times, I mean, I don't agree with his perspective, but I definitely think that he was puppeteered by Fiona. Okay, Kim. Okay, yeah, I know that there was a fear for Denise's life, and I know that's why she was sent to England. So, but again, this is hearsay on my part, right? So, the whole thing is a mess. The whole thing. I knew Daniel Lee was working with Fiona, but didn't know who Timmy was. I don't know if Timmy. Well, he definitely promoted Fiona. Here's the thing: before Fiona Bartlett came around, when I was in, because I was a lot of people. I was in a lot of groups. I got invited into a private Facebook group with a recovery group, MK Ultra recovery group, with some people that were in the same rooms as Fiona. So I got to hear a lot of what they had to say. I have actually one screenshot somewhere in my screenshots where they actually say that Fiona was just there gathering intelligence to create a narrative. So again, right? Here's the thing too. Have you ever met an MK Ultra victim? The women that I know, when their memories start coming, they can't handle the narrative like Fiona did. It takes years and years and years of recovery to be able to talk about it. And then Fiona just came out of nowhere with basically reiterating what everybody else had told her in those rooms, in my opinion. But anyways, Preacher Dan was fed info about backyard brawl. I have a video of Dan saying he was an agent. I'd be interested in seeing that. I didn't really follow Daniel Lee. I didn't like his. I just didn't like. I liked some of what he said, but I was really opposed to his religious views. He just didn't sit well with me. Preacher, yeah. So, I don't know about what is Tim running from in misdemeanor? Okay. Here's the thing, Kim. Did you see in the court files in that? So in his East Grand Forks case, the 2014-15, in there he claims that Cobra Staub told him that that you and Mike were going to kill him. Okay, that his life was in danger. Now let me tell you something else. When David Robert Steele wanted to interview Timothy Holmseth, Randy told Tim that if he he was in jail at the time, and she called Robert Steele, and he basically hung up with her and wanted nothing to do with her. But she said to Tim too, if you go to Europe and testify, they are going to kill you. And it's the same thing with the court case that he didn't go to, that they planned, where he was a no-show. So, Tim's not a confident guy. I believe they created paranoia, which is a huge characteristic of borderline personality disorder too. They live in fear. And so if these people are running a psychological operation on Tim and they have him profiled, they would be able to push all the right buttons to make him run. So that keeps him a fugitive. And what that does is that isolates him from society, right? And everybody that loves him. So he loses touch with reality. And then they control him. They can use his name, and they can get him to they can get him to say whatever they want, right? Oh no, he did not like Randy at all. He said, "Oh yeah, she was freaked out. She was like, I couldn't believe it. He hung up on me, and oh yeah, no, he did not like her." It's interesting though that he's dead too. Hey, Chris Hallett, Kirsten W, um, Robert David Steele. I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy around that, but people in the movement would argue that there was foul play in those situations. But I mean, I can't prove it. It's just purely conspiracy theory right now. So, but it's interesting. Oh, the other one did Randy ever mention what her husband thinks of Timothy? I think that Randy's the man wears the pants in that family. So I don't. He doesn't. She said, okay, well, okay. So she did say that Brian was confused and didn't understand what was going on. Actually, she did say that once. My family, she kept saying to me, my family thinks I'm nuts. She kept saying to me, God sent me to protect him, which is, in my opinion, bullshit, because she can't discern anything on a spiritual level either. I mean, look at the thing with the General Flynn prayer. I mean, going on and on and on about how demonic he is. I mean, she wouldn't understand how to practice spiritual warfare if it came and smacked her own demons out of her own face. But anyways, and it's the same thing. Timmy doesn't understand that too okay, hang on. If Cobra said that he was just kidding, I believe Tim is running for the money. Being a pretend fugitive from deep state keeps him well paid and happily unemployed. Yes. Well, playing the victim can be rewarding, right? I mean, and let's face it, Randy is taking care of him because he is unable to manage his own affairs. And he probably likes his 3 square meals a day because that was more than he was getting at a real job, right? So these are just all opinion on my part. I'm telling you, if 6 months ago, I wouldn't have thought this. It took me, I had to read. I totally relate to what Kirk said. He spins everything. When I went through all those documents and saw the spin job, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I'd done it earlier. So, but yeah, it's and it went unchecked. Like nobody called him out on it. So this is me today. I have done the homework, like literally done, and I was in their camp. So I mean, I was in the camp. I know how they think. I know how they operate. I know how Randy is. I would give Randy a tip, because I was more educated on a lot of this stuff than she was, and she would tap, and you can laugh at you about this one. She would tap into people like me all the time. It was people like us that she was able to form half of her work, but anyways, I've lost my train of thought there, but she uses and abuses everybody. I was on to her, but I was hoping for the best, if that makes any sense. I was just hoping for the best. Did David Straight David Straight stopped working with Tim and Randy a while back. They started rejecting Tim and Randy's research. David Straight said to them, if you want me to even consider looking at your work, you need to provide me with graphics and connections and evidence. And they stopped accepting the work. And that's where when Randy started like sending the stuff to Fort Campbell, right? Because David Straight was like, Randy never backed any of her work with any links or support or anything to support any of that. It was all just at a thin sheet. Other people would do the work. I mean, even the Finder stuff that they posted, I just sent them that stuff. I sent them that stuff on the Finders. That's my research. But they didn't dig and see if the connections, they didn't make the right connections. I mean, the Mr. Reagan, they're saying that's Bob Hamer. The second Marion Petrie of the Finders Cult's partner used to wear Ronald Reagan masks with his kids. That's who Mr. Reagan is. The fact he's a ghost and he bought the website speaks volumes. Why Fort Campbell? Okay, now this is funny too. So he was, remember, I think it's Fort Campbell because she managed to get him to pose for a photograph in front of Fort Campbell in 2020. I think that's the pick because of the photograph. They're building their narratives on what they have in place already. The funny thing is she's sending her stuff into Fort Campbell, and what's hilarious about that to me is Fort Campbell is now I'm not saying this is the case today, but Fort Campbell is the military base that Michael Aquino conducted his MK Ultra experiments on Kathy O'Brien. So I find that one really funny, actually, because like, why, if you're so on top of things, why on earth are you wide awake Pentagon pentophile elite sending all your work to the military base that MK Ultra experiments were conducted? I hope everyone understands that Pastor Reagan is not Bob Hamer. Pastor passed away in 2000. Did you, Kim, did you meet Bob Hamer too? Do you know him? I'll tell you why. Bob Hamer, I listened to a lot. I did a lot of digging into him. The prosthetic leg and the Vietnam story is a similar story that he uses on a regular basis. So I just found that very interesting. I was just wondering if you knew Bob Hamer personally, because it matches in so many ways. It is actually an MO that he uses, a crippled man with a prostrated leg. So that match was just, I found that really uncanny in when I did my dig. So I think it's funny if it is him. Either way, it doesn't matter. The match was just like, that's the only reason why I presented it. Correct, Kim. Yeah. So that matches. So you've never met him. Okay. So that's what I mean. We don't know for sure. And I love that element of actually not knowing. I like that guessing game. And Tim's followers will relate more to that than like your side, because the fact that he's connected to Bob Hamer is connected to Rudy Giuliani is a very big deal, and I find that very interesting. I know Pastor Reagan's entire family. Okay, well that's good. That's good. Either way, I think it's whether it was or wasn't. I think it's a really cool coincidence. Okay, well you're saying it's not him. Okay. But it's still a very cool coincidence, right? So, I don't know. I just post what I find, right? And that was that matched the MO, right? I mean, there was so much about it that matched according to Tim's book. So, I mean, who knows? That could have been Cobra's narrative, but either way, you know. It shows that maybe something was going on. Maybe there was a lot of things that were orchestrated, right? So as far as Cobra is concerned. So anyhow. Oh, sorry.
Okay, can you give us kind of a sneak preview of what your second part is going to be?
Okay, so the second part is so this is the gatekeeping. What Randy did not want me to publish. Basically, it's a spinoff of Patch Adams, okay? And when I went into that rabbit hole, I was mind blown, because he was the Finders cult doctor for 25 years. He was very close to Marianne Petrie. So when I went through that circle, I was like, okay, why was she sweeping that under the rug? That is the big question. Why are they running with Kim Picasio is a child sex trafficker instead of running with the Patch Adams stuff, which is which there's way more evidence. I found way more evidence that supports that narrative over the other one. So I'm thinking, what is she hiding? Has she been inserted to run cover? Right? This is, you know what I mean? When you start, I swear it's not him. Ashes are on the ocean. He was a great man. Thank you, Kim. I'm just gonna I'm not really gonna get into any more of like Bob Hamer anyways. I was on in part one. I was working on Timmy's narrative, so that's what that was. I exposed him as being a fake. I debunked, 3 of his claims. Yes, I am a huge supporter of Field McConnell. Yes, I am, definitely. He's one of my favorites. Definitely, he's one of my favorite truthers. I loved Field. I loved his wife too. Denise was lovely. The people that are around him, the ones that are close. So part two, Mert, back to that. That is just so I found those connections, which are all connected to the Epstein and to the Epstein case, and it's all connected to the Finders is connected to the what's the name of it? Give me the Franklin cover up. So I mean, there was definitely like child sex trafficking rings going on, but it wasn't how it's being portrayed and pushed. So I believe that this is a red herring or a diversion, like I said in the video. When do you expect to publish the second video? Well, the great thing about the second video is I've already done the research because I sent it all to Randy already. I was sending it to her, and that's when I started. This is what's funny too, and you can ask Laugh at You because he was there for this. When I started sending that information over to Randy, that's when she started attacking Michael Flynn. Isn't that right, Laugh at You? Timing, right? So we found that very interesting. That's when she launched her attack on General Flynn. So another diversion, right? Oh no, maybe onto the truth. I do think that I'm onto the truth. I do believe that that's well, what you'll see when I publish what I found. You'll see what I found. It's pretty crazy what I found. So and again, I've already done I've done 6 months of that research, but I was trying to bring up the Patch Adams stuff to Randy for about a year and a half. I mean, she was sweeping it. She kept sweeping it under the rug. Oh no, we've already sent that. This is what she said. We have already sent that full, that entire package, all the evidence, and off already. That's done. But have you noticed, like, they never published anything in timothyholmseth.com about it, except one little article about him being played by Robin Williams. So there was a little mention, but there was nothing. Like, I mean, I sent some big stuff over to Randy. So yeah, again, I believe she's gatekeeping. Why? What's she trying to hide? So what struck my strange about Tim was back a few years, he asked for help locating someone he had been incarcerated with. I had Tim in reference with that. I wonder what that's about. I don't know anything about that. Maybe, well, here's the thing too, right? What if Tim, what if, let's play what if for a minute. What if Randy Erickson has been deployed by dirty deep state operatives to shut down narratives and protect their people, their pedos, okay? What if Tim was in jail with that guy and that he told that guy a bunch of stuff, and that guy has some evidence of Tim that they want to find out and shut down and have him take it out? Do you know what I mean? Maybe, who knows? So hard to say, right? So I that's just one of those what ifs, right? Why would they want to locate this guy that was in jail? Well, maybe something was said that they're afraid is going to be released at some point, right? So that's what I think about that. But yeah, let's see what else you guys saying here. Kim and I, and then Paula and I had a conversation about this. What are we talking about?
Oh, the Sharp as Cope was saying that you really went after Kim back in the day, and Kim and I actually had talked about that, and
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry for that. Um, I did, but I don't know if you guys noticed. I stopped publishing Tim's. I stopped putting out his work on my channel probably last spring, probably a year ago. I wasn't trusting his work anymore. Um, I put some stuff out to support Field. I believe in Field. I don't believe in Tim's work. I was noticing was getting repetitious and shady. And why are we wasting? I was like, why are we wasting so much time on Craig Sawyer? See, we had already done that decode. We already knew that Craig Sawyer was doing the right thing last summer. So why was she still beating that drum? Like, what? Why aren't we like digging into bigger things, right? So you know what I mean? Gatekeeping, right? It's gatekeeping. So I feel free. I feel so free now that I'm away from those people. I didn't have any conversations about Field, so no, that's not okay. Um, um, I need to. I have apologized publicly. I have. Um, I've done it a few times. Um, I felt terrible. You got. They all know. Levi, LK, Mertz, JB, Glow. They all knew. They knew how bad I felt. I I felt terrible. I did it for I did it I dug in for Field, but I felt terrible for my part. I really, really did. So and that's why I have taken so much time to break this down, because I needed to figure out what went wrong. Where did we go wrong? And I have found that now. So we trusted Tim's work because he believed in his own work. So he believed his own bullshit so much that we believed it. It's like that clip in the video that I put out about the diary. Um, you know, my belief that, because Tim's book is a diary. I don't care what anybody says. It's a freaking diary. And because he believed that, the fallacy, right, of the diary being true has to be true. I mean, there's my diabolical mistake, right? So, and that's why that hit me. It hit me. That's why that's in there, because like maybe somebody else can relate to that, because I know Field can relate to that. Because it hit me in my heart too. I was like, yeah. So there you go, right? I mean, we fell for it. You know, and this is me just trying to correct the record. I debunked Tim on a couple of things. I feel good about that. Um, did I get to the part where my assessment of there was another thing. Did I mention what my opinion? I don't know if I was on the air or not. My opinion of what was going on in Kim's lives during the Haley Cummings situation. Did I talk about that yet?
I'm not sure, Polly. You can go over it again just in case.
Okay, so when I was reading through his Grand Forks case, and he, where he, in that video where he goes, the Birkins, you'll find some very interesting information. Well, I was reading through those emails that he had posted from Kim, and it is my honest opinion that Kim and Mike Picasio were separated during the Haley Cummings case. And I felt really bad because I recognized that. And I thought, why are they painting her out to be like this terrible person when, in all likelihood, she was going through her own issues. I don't know if that's correct or not, but that's what I surmised from that part of the court documents.
Mm-hmm.
So
Excuse me.
I don't know if that's true or not, but to paint her out as being this horrible cheating wife, when I read that, my heart sunk because I I knew that she had been victimized there. I felt in my heart. I don't even know if it's true, but there's something in my heart that tells me that she wasn't even with her husband at the time. So I just feel, I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up because I feel so bad that I helped support something that was so malicious in intent, on so many levels. And I am truly sorry for that. So, anyways, I don't want to get too choked up, but I have shed enough tears over this. I broke my own heart, right? So bad that I had been so deceived by Tim and Randy, and that they had deceived others. It's more not so much about my being deceived, but the fact that they deceived others so badly, and so many people have been hurt by this, and that is what has been my driving force. I did it for field, but it's been my driving force because people need to understand what is happening and stop attacking each other. We can be on opposite sides of the political fence, but to just go out and maliciously attack each other, and I'm guilty of this, and I'm trying to correct that right now, and that's what this is about for me on a personal level. Is it's been a huge eye opener for me, and I might not be correct on everything that I put out in that video, but I am certainly trying to do the right thing right now. And I believe that if we can have differences of opinion, but we need to be really careful about who we target because we are in a war with some really, really horrible um, people that are in the dark here, and we're attacking each other instead, and that it needs to stop. Paula, did Randy ever mention her children? I heard her children. Her children think she's crazy. Um, they think she's absolutely crazy. She told me herself. The thing is that she has to maintain a relationship with her children because she's hidden all of her cash with her kids. So, I just think it's okay that Paula tried to make things right. This is what she's doing. You should allow her. Glow is she's been good. I was separated during shortly thereafter for divorce, and we got divorced. I dated you. Okay, so my assessment was correct. Okay, well, thank you because that's what I thought when I read it. That's how I read that. So I read that correctly. Thank you for verifying that. Because I like to know that like my assessment on stuff is I like to know when I go wrong and where I'm right. Do you know what I mean? And some things I just post because they fit so well. Anyone buying Timmy, Randy Dan at 107 or need to seek professional help. I don't believe 107 is bad. Um, I don't believe that Robert David Steele was bad either. I believe people say about 107, well, he's not so honest. Juan will let situations go like the JFK stuff because he's trying to stimulate conversation. They're trying to wake people up and exercise their ability to use their critical thinking skills. They don't care if they get debunked. They don't care if people think that they're nuts or trying to do this. They're trying these people as a whole, and Linwood is doing the same thing. They're teaching people how to exercise their mind, because everybody has been so dumbed down and don't know how to think critically anymore. So, I mean, we can paint it any way you want, but it's working. People are waking up and people are getting better. Um, oh, I need to have deceived her like they did so many. Yeah, yeah. I was deceived. Yeah, you did tell me years ago, Globe, but the way that you guys, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Your approaches sometimes are not good either. Like, we were always attacking each other on a personal level. So, um, what I've learned from all of this, it was when somebody's going to attack somebody's character or looks or um and I'm guilty of this myself. What I've learned is that that's no way to get anybody's attention. You do it with kindness and with truth, and you back your truth with evidence. And that's the only way that we're going to bridge this problem that we have. And I'm hoping that maybe I can be a little bit of an example, because I've learned my lesson, and this is me humbling myself and trying to do the right thing. Um, One is a LARP. You know what, to a certain degree, Michael Thomas, there is a certain degree, but again, I believe that he is exercising. He's doing it out. They're trying to get people to think. They say that he's. Kim and I had a similar experience once years ago. My enemies are now my friends. Yeah. Better slow than never. Yeah. Remember though, I went back to work, right? So I testified against my childhood perpetrator in, oh boy, I don't know, I was so like, took me about 5 years. So I went back to work at right after Field. So like 2014, I testified. So I went back it took me 5 years to be able to go back to work. I went back to work full time after recovering from post traumatic stress disorder in December of 2019. That's like a month after Field was arrested. So I wasn't able to do the research. I was too busy. Losing my job in November has been a godsend, because I've now been able to go back and do what I was unable to do then. So I just didn't have time. So I trusted that they had it. So how about Field attacking Kim for months? Yes, but he was deceived. He believed him. So, I mean, since then, I believe he's apologized to her as well. So we can keep attacking Field, or we can accept that he has also humbled himself and tried to make amends as well. So, like I have. So, I mean, we can keep punishing people, or we can forgive each other and move on and learn from this, right? Is what I'm hoping.
Paula, I'd like to interrupt here
Yeah.
because this is getting into an area that I'm quite familiar with. I went through basically the same thing here. I had a huge problem back during my coverage of Trenton Duckett and Haley Cummings. And I was viciously attacked. I was accused of creating all kinds of fake accounts and everything, and we all got played, both my enemies and my friends, by a woman from Georgia who was actually doing all these behind the scenes. And so now the people that were my enemies, so to speak, Kim included, because we all kind of got together, realized that we had been played, and we're now friends doing the thing together, that we are working for the truth. So people do change. Enemies can become friends and friends can become enemies. It depends on the circumstances
Yes.
and whether or not you are trying to get to the truth or are simply trying to create trouble. And I'm off my
Yeah.
soapbox.
Yeah. No, I can hear you. No, I agree. Thank you for saying that, because this is where I'm at. I don't want to fight with each other. We need to be careful what we do. People are getting injured over and murdered over this stuff. This is people's lives are in danger. It's not okay. We have to be careful. If that's what you thank you, that means so much to me. Yeah, I just feel we were deceived, and now I think that I mean, I could probably debate anybody on this stuff now that I've read so much into this. I did a lot of research. Part two of my video is not going to be on. It's just going to be on what Randy Gatekeep. I'm done with this. I this part of that saga for me is over. I'm not going to keep reliving it. I just want to get on and get the information out that she was gatekeeping, because I think that's important. There's some stuff in there that's strange, but we'll cross that bridge. I'm just going to post my findings, and everybody else can decide what is right and what is not. I mean, you can, I don't claim to always be correct on everything, but I certainly will try my best to present things as honestly as I can from this day forward, with as much evidence as I can to support my theories, right? Because they are theories. They're all theories, right? So I'm just going to be a lot more careful on how I do things. It was a big lesson for me. I'm a good researcher. I just need to be very, and I think I just need to be responsible.
Mm-hmm.
With more. I had to learn how to be a lot more responsible with how I handle the information and how I present it. So I was callous and cold, yes. Thing is I believed Field too, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think all of us got caught up in the mix, so to speak.
Yeah.
We basically got into a war with each other, and things have a way of snowballing. I mean, people criticize A, then they criticize B, and then supporters of both criticize everybody, and it just snowballs into a vicious fight. And I've gone through this, people on this board have gone through this, and we're still going through this because it is so easy to hate somebody, to ridicule, than to stand back, consider their position,
Yeah.
consider exactly what the truth is.
Yeah.
And the latter is what we need to do. We need to start seeking out the truth. Now, as far as the politics side of it, I mean, it's like we've all been saying tonight. We all have different perspectives on politics. You and I, Paula, strongly disagree with each other on
On
our
many
there.
levels, but
Correct.
that doesn't, yeah, but we're allowed to do that. We just don't discuss it. That's fine. Do you know what I mean? It's, we don't have to have that debate. This is not what this is about. We're looking at truth in other areas. And if we can get past those political, religious, and political affiliations,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we can get past those, because everybody's entitled to their own beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
and who they believe in and what religion they believe in and how they want to worship God. I mean, if we can
Mm-hmm.
get past demanding that people need to do what they're told, I think that if we get past that, we can actually accomplish a whole hell of a lot together
Yeah,
on
it's
both
called.
sides.
Okay, yeah, it's called finding common ground.
Yeah.
In any
Yeah.
perspective on anything, there's always going to be differences, but just like tonight, we are finding common ground.
Yeah.
The situation with Holmseth and Randy and so forth is our common ground. We are
Yeah.
trying to get the truth out
Yeah.
about this situation. It doesn't matter for Biden supporters, Trump supporters,
Yeah. It doesn't
Lynn Wood
matter.
supporters, General Flynn, or
Yeah.
whoever. Truth is the truth is the truth is the truth. Period.
Levi, in answer to that, probably because I know that the money is hidden um, with her daughter. So to have access to it, she would have to all the properties and everything. I mean, if you just follow the money, right? But don't forget, she's probably raking in a cool income from people donating. I mean, they can you imagine the amount of money that Randy's probably raking in just on her bogus propaganda site? I mean, in Tim's name, I mean, and Tim plays the bleeding heart, and that's how you get people like Truth Punisher, right? Following, you're so daft. You left a comment on your video that you think Tim is in protective custody. I do. I'll tell you why. Let me explain that to you. Because Tim, okay, so Flynn wrote this. General Flynn wrote this document in 2010. Okay, and he said there was a problem when he was in Afghanistan, and he did this assessment on the three-letter agencies, the investigative agencies, and he said that they had it backwards, and that a lot of the intelligence needed to come from the ground up instead of from the top down, because you get your real intelligence from the people that are actually in the fight. So he adopted that, and he created that whole digital army thing. So he had all these citizens following him and digging and being brave. So in doing so, there is an element of responsibility when you start getting the normal citizen digging into the dirt on elite, dangerous people. You have to have safeties in place. And I do know that there are safeties in place for certain people. And whether Tim, whether it's satellite, I do know this for a fact that they send people in. How it's done, I don't know. I know that there are people in place to do it, but irregardless of whether Tim is crazy or not, General Flynn and everybody else that's trying to help behind the scenes, that's trying to help society, don't want to see anybody harmed. So there is an element of truth that he is in under some sort of protection. Okay, there is a watchful eye. So protective custody, yes. I'll tell you right now, Randy has not had access to Tim in a long time. When was the last time that Tim officially posted? That would be September of 2020, after their little summer tour all across America, taking their snapshots. So, you know what I mean? So I know that she has no access to him because she's told me herself. She has no access to Tim. She has to send her comms through other people. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? I mean, I was in there with Randy. I know. I was the one having the conversations with her, and I know what I understand how this situation is operating. So, I mean, you can say whatever you want. I just hope that he's in the type of custody where he gets the health care that he needs. That is my hope. And I do believe that he is being protected to some degree, but I think that Tim needs help. I think that Tim needs real help. So, anyways. Sorry.
Yeah, some of the conversations that's going on here.
I know, I'm trying to read it.
I get distracted by it when I do that
I was
sometimes.
like, there's a good stimulating comment. So, I mean, everybody can judge me on thinking that I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I actually have quite a wide understanding, like a broader understanding than most people on a lot of this stuff. But people think, oh, you know, it's not so cut and dry. There's a lot to everything that's going on. I mean, they're taking down some big people right now. I mean, we're starting to see the tip of the Durham investigation, and that's all going to come out. I mean, we know that Hillary Clinton and all her associates are on that list, right? That's all the Epstein stuff. I mean, that stuff that it goes on forever, right? So that's going to be probably one of the largest RICO cases that we'll ever see in our lives. You got a lot of really good people helping with that situation. So, Randy, sorry. Yes, it is. Paula thinks Tim has information. Will make it violent. No, that's not. See, there you're putting thoughts into my mind. No, I think that Paula thinks that Tim's life is as valuable as yours. Okay, that's it. I think that Tim's life is valuable too. Irregardless, Tim needs help. So, I mean, you can spin that any way you want, sharp as attack, but it doesn't matter. I mean, he's definitely been plucked away from Randy, so Randy might be dangerous, right? So who knows? He's definitely not with Randy. That's for sure.
All right, Levi, here you go. Levi wants to call in with some questions.
Okay.
So, because he's pretty good at this. He's a little better at this than I am.
Well, I guess then that you, whatever. I'm not even arguing with this person because sharp as attack doesn't see the bigger picture, but that's okay.
Well, this is, Sharp is going through what I had to go through back in the day. There were people that did not trust me at all.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear a voice in there. I'm hearing a voice but not seeing anything, Levi. I'm not sure how you're coming in. You may have to try again, Levi, because I heard your voice and then it kind of... Well, Kim, what is the prevailing theory? Paul and I differ a little bit on this protective custody issue. I believe Tim Holmseth is being confined and controlled, and that the group of trustees, as I started... here's Levi. Let me finish up on this, Levi. That I believe that they are keeping a very, very tight leash on Timmy and not letting him to have much personal freedom. And Levi, you are on the air.
Hey,
I can agree with that too. Hi, Levi. I can agree with that theory too. And if you ask some of my friends, I actually threw that theory out on a video that's out there in January saying, do they have, because of his mental health, how much authority does, Randy have over Tim? Does she have enough to have him put in a mental institution to keep him locked up in a way? Do you know what I mean? Does she have power of attorney over him? Even.
Well, they did say she had power of attorney. He handed that over to her back in like 2019. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there you go. Maybe she's got him put in a mental institute. It has been told to me though that they've got a watchful eye on Tim. So maybe they're concerned that Randy's going to harm him. Do you know what I mean?
Paula, thanks for answering my questions. One question I had to ask: you said that you don't think that Timothy and Randy are in the same place now.
No, they're not. I know they're not. Is
Randy mad about that?
Randy's mad because she was trying to get some of my sources for me. I don't give away my information sources. I've got some great people that I work with and they're really helpful, but they don't. Anyway, she's described it as she has to go through people to get to him. So I don't exactly know to what degree, but she's like, I have to be really careful about the information that I send Tim now. It has to be accurate and I need sources. It's like, well, it was weird. Like, she's definitely not in like a situation where she can sit in the same room as him. It's contact is done, maybe done through monitored calls or, this is what I gather from the things that she said. Because you got to remember, Randy lies. So it's like, so much, she twists and lies a lot. So it's, you have to kind of pick and pluck because she slips up sometimes and says things that she shouldn't say to me, right? And a lot of times I wouldn't say them, but I would make note of them, right? But I know she's not with him. So that's why I question, is he in a mental hospital? You can ask anybody. I've put this out there. Under her control, or is he being watched over by somebody to make sure that not another person gets harmed? So I don't know the answer, right? So it's like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But you do know that they were traveling together in 2020.
They definitely were traveling together in 2020. Yes, there was. Yes.
Did Randy mention that she still works? Is she like actively working?
No, she's not working. She's not working at all. She's on the run. Randy's on the run. I know that they were renting different places. Like they would play, like rent a. Her and Tim were like actively staying. This is according to what she's. I mean, she could be lying through her teeth. Okay, this is what she told me. She told me that they were staying in different locations. So he was living in one of her houses for a while, and then things got hot, and then they went on the road, and they.
What do you mean by things got hot? What does that mean?
So, people started showing up at their house and threatening them. So,
did they say who it was?
Randy always said it was Craig Sawyer's team. I'm like, somebody was coming around and somebody was harassing them. They were looking for Tim. It could have been anybody, but Randy always reverted back to it's Sawyer's team. So, I mean, who they were, I don't know, but people were coming around, and I believe that there was, I believe that Randy told me they're not together, Kim. And it's been confirmed for some of my people. Some of my people have said, no, they're not together. But my people won't tell me what's going on. So it's like, okay, I just know they're not together. So it's all a guessing game from that point on. Sorry, what was the question again, Levi?
Did she ever mention to you the police coming to look for Timothy?
Yes. That could have just been the police. I believe that they were looking for Tim. They could have been just coming to question him too, or he does have, I know he does have a warrant out, but it's my understanding that it's only good in Minnesota. So
yes, and during the time it was when COVID was going on and they were not arresting people for misdemeanors.
Yes. So they were on the road, and they were traveling, and when they would pick up like every month or two and move to a new location. This much I know.
Well, I know that they were in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Do you?
I've pretty much narrowed that down that they were there at one time. And Clarksville is in Tennessee, but it is not far from Kentucky, and it is near the Fort Campbell Army base.
Okay. So, well, that would make sense because that's when he had that photograph, right? In front of the Fort Campbell. Those photographs, I am 100% convinced that those photographs were taken in 2020. We have to see if we can get a picture of the vehicle too. He was driving that white truck in 2020. Remember that white thing, whatever it was. Remember we used to be like, remember he used to do his podcast and he was on the road and he would go to the Wi-Fi's at like the Tim Hortons and stuff. I'm saying the coffee shops in Canada. It's all Tim Hortons, but like the coffee shop Wi-Fi's. So
did Timothy and Randy ever get mad at each other? Did they ever fight?
Randy praised Tim all day long. No, I don't think so. That's in my assessment is that my assessment of the situation is that she just like coddled him like a little boy. That's how she controlled him. You know what I mean? That was how she controlled him. She praised him. Tim, she'd say things to me like, Tim, I don't know, he's so connected to the divine. He's like, and it's like, he just knows things. We let Tim do the writing. The thing is Randy would pick and choose. She would gatekeep and pick and choose the information that he would receive. She would not let anybody else talk to him. She totally isolated him. And that is like one of the first things they do when you're controlling somebody is isolate, right? So she kept him isolated. And she was I believe that she was creating the scenarios, and that's why he was writing so poorly. I believe that she was manipulating him. But I think that because he felt safe and he was comforted, and maybe he got his mommy now, and you know what I mean? And He's getting his 3 square meals a day and somebody loves him. And I believe that he willingly participated in a lot of what he shouldn't have as far as writing falsehoods because of that comfort zone. Does that make any sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not letting anyone near him. I'm not. That's how she was. She was like that, eh? God sent me, she used to say, God sent me to watch over him. And it's like, if you knew what I saw, like, I could laugh at that now. Like, it's so sad because she's not a godly person. She misses things. Like, people that, that are good in their heart and, like, are walking with God don't behave like how Randy behaves. So, you don't isolate people, and you know what I mean? It's like, I could see it. I was married to a narcissist for 18 years. It took me a long time to get away from that relationship. I tried for 10 years. And he would isolate me. That's how I know this stuff. He would isolate me. He would create emergencies to drain my bank account. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know the behavior. I recognized it in Cobra. I recognized it in Randy. So, again, this is all my opinion.
Where do you think the money is coming from?
Well, that's a good question. Is there anybody paying her to do this? That's one possibility. Secondly, how much money is she making off of the grift, the Timothy Holmseth name? Thirdly, I know she's got a lot of money stashed with her daughter. She told me she's got a lot of money stashed with her daughter. So,
well, I wonder why she doesn't stash it with her husband.
Well, because somebody told me, and I haven't done the research on this. Somebody told me that they claimed bankruptcy. So maybe there's something to do with, like, maybe there's some sort of fraud around that. Do you know what I mean? If they were married, he would be culpable, right?
No, I think what happened there is she filed bankruptcy a long time ago against a contractor who built a garage on their property.
She accused that contractor of being a pedophile.
Yeah, and she cannot file bankruptcy again for several more years. So that option is out.
And she lied about her income. Mm-hmm. She said she wasn't making any money.
I think, okay, so she also did this is purely speculation on my part, but remember she was doing the judge advocacy stuff for people with their property taxes?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she was in on some sort of, like, taking people's houses from them. Maybe she was in on some sort of a fraud situation, and maybe that's part of why she was hiding her money too. Do you know what I mean?
That could be true.
Like, these are just things that run through my mind that I haven't even gone down these, but I have been thinking about this sort of stuff because she bragged about how much money she had. She told me she was very rich. So how does a real estate agent get that rich? She told me, she told me she had a lot of money.
There might be a family trust. I think there was at one time.
Well, that's what she created with the family trust, but it's in her daughter's name. She created that. Yes. That's what she told me anyways.
And did she ever talk about what Brian thought about Timothy? I mean, can you imagine your wife just moving some random dude into the house?
She told me he didn't understand it. He was confused by it. I think I would be. They're in the coming into the retirement years. What is Randy's, like 63, 64, right? Mm-hmm. They're coming into the retirement years, and all of a sudden she takes off. No, I did not meet Timothy and Randy in person, but I have spoken to Randy on, like, live chat with, like, the video many times. Timothy, I only knew him through social media and email. So, anyways.
Was Timothy ever in the background when you talked to Randy?
Yes. I heard him he said something to her once, but that was back in 2020. That was back in, not since.
Sometimes so they were like in the same room.
Yes. Yeah. A couple times they're in the same room.
Where was the location? Did it look like they were in a hotel?
I wasn't always on video with her. So, they rented furnished places, from what I understood. They rented like for cabins and furnished houses and like vacation homes. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Airbnb or something like that.
Yeah, well, probably, you know, or a cabin in the woods. They stayed off the beaten track, she told me.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed like in like off of the main, out of the main stuff. So, and I know that they were traveling in 2020 because I just know they were. Because that's when I started talking to them. But
do you know if anybody else was if they were meeting people along the way?
that's a good question. They pretend. Okay, so Randy was going on about meeting people, but I don't know who or what it was about. Like going
Do
on.
you know about that Jessie woman?
Jessie.
What's her last name? Do you know who I'm talking about, Mert? Jessie.
I can't pronounce her last name. She's got a real
Zabator.
Something like that.
Oh, Jessie Saboter.
Yes.
Okay. So let me tell you about this. Okay, so Jessie Saboter. It wasn't. Randy never liked Jessie.
Oh.
Randy always told me she never liked Jessie Saboter until Jessie came out with the testimony that you saw in my video. Then all of a sudden, she loved Jessie. I'm serious. She never liked Jessie. She used to tell me all the time that she didn't trust her. She's an Illuminati bitch. I just listen. I don't trust anything that chick says. That's what she said to me. So she's
well,
very.
now
Randy's
it's alleged that she's helping Timothy and Randy hide.
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that for one moment. Jessie's very, 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 very cautious about her locations. I don't believe it. I think Jessie's smarter than Randy. I'll be honest with you. Jessie just lost a kid, right? Like she's really like, I don't think she'd let anybody in. I don't think that she's helping Timothy at all.
Well, the reason people think that is because she did an interview on, I forgot what show it was on, but she was talking about how she and people she knows actually help people go on the run. They help find them places to stay, get them a vehicle.
Well, then that could be a possibility if that's the case, right? That could be a possibility.
The thing is, she could have disliked Jessie until Jessie started helping out financially.
I'll tell you, it was like the day that, okay, it's like mid chat. It was like so defined. Her and I were on, I can show you actually, because I have the screenshots, but her and I were talking, and I said, because here was Randy's theory. Okay, Randy had said that Jessie knew of a sacrifice that was going to go on and was concerned about giving the location. And then Randy said, well, she did end up giving the location of the sacrifice, but we got there too late and we couldn't save the kids. And then Randy was accusing her of doing it intentionally. So, I mean, I don't know like what any of this stuff is. Okay. I'm just like listening, going, right. And then all of a sudden, like mid-sentence, oh my God, Jessie's son was just murdered. All of a sudden, it was because of Sawyer. The testimony was Sawyer. And all of a sudden, she's Jessie's best friend because Jessie's narrative fits. See, Jessie was really cautious when she put that. See that little clip in my video? I put that in there intentionally because Jessie was like, well, there's allegedly, first of all, she made it really clear that she does not, in that whole video clip, she makes it really clear that she is not part of Timothy Holmseth's team. Okay. That's in that video clip with, what's his face? Can't remember his name off the hand. And then she goes on to say, I've seen the threats. I'm curious why my name is in with, why my name. The link is in my description box, by the way, in that video. If not, I can get it. I'll post it. But she goes on to say, I have to be really careful how I say this. First of all, she's not associated with Tim and Randy. And then she goes on to say, I wonder why I was at the end of the same threats that were coming in on the website. We were targeted. And then she goes on to suggest that Craig Sawyer saw things, right? Which instead of doing them, she went on to say, well, there's just not so much that he did them, but it was more like he witnessed things. It's almost like Jesse knew more of what was going on than Randy did, if you get my drift. So, and then right after that interview, her son died, and then Randy was all of a sudden loved her. So, I mean, that's weird. All that whole situation there is really weird, right? But Randy never liked it. Randy until it fit her narrative, and then all of a sudden she liked her. So it was. I'm telling you, I feel bad. I mean, I don't like to do that, but Randy is so two-faced. You can ask Laugh at You on that one. She is so two-faced. It's not even funny. So, she'll say she likes somebody to one person and say that she hates them to another, and then yeah.
Did Randy ever mention Phil McConnell to you?
Yes. Randy was angry because she was trying to secure Randy told me I paid down his property taxes. That's a lie. That has been confirmed to me that's a lie, and I better be getting my effing money back with interest, is her attitude. What happened is she tried to steal through the property taxes, as we believe that she tried to steal Field's house. Now, Field wasn't paying his property taxes, but it wasn't because he didn't have the money. Because as soon as he went to jail, they were paid. I was told that Denise paid them. It had nothing to do with Randy. But Randy was trying to lock them up so that she could take the house, is what the assessment was from Field's people. So I don't know.
Randy was going to try to take Field's house?
Field's house, yeah.
Yeah, in a tax auction.
Well, do you know what my theory is? I think that Tim and Randy wanted Field out of the way because they wanted to take over Field's live stream.
That's exactly.
Field had a very popular live stream.
And you know who else was in on that? Was Margaritaville. He was in on that scam. He wanted to take over the live stream too. Because he phoned. See, I always used to be friends with Margaritaville too, until I found out he was a lying POS as well. He phoned me. I was like, what the heck? And I got in touch with some of Field's people, and I told on him that because I'm not into that sort of stuff. But he's like, Field is just a drunken idiot, and we're taking over his show. Do you want to be on it? Do you want to run it? I'm like, no. You know what I mean? I'm like, no. And then he was, saying, I have access to Russian money. That's what Margarita said to me. I have access to Russian money. So there might have been a plan between, I don't know. There may have been some sort of a plan between Agent Margaritaville and Randy to take over control of that platform. Because that probably would have pulled in a lot of money, right, for them. And they could have, imagine the audience. I think at the time Field had like 100, at a daily, like 100,000 viewers per day at that stage, right? So imagine if they were coming in to control the narrative, right? That would have been a huge thing. And here's the thing. Agent Margaritaville was trying to get me to work on against 107, against Field behind his... Agent Margaritaville is such a piece of shit. Okay? He's another spin doctor. Anything that comes... But here's the thing. Remember he said, Kirsten W., and who's dead now, and Timmy were trying to make off with all the money, $750,000. But let me tell you something. That $750,000 that Margarita is talking about, that number was mentioned before Field was ever arrested by Margaritaville to me. So, and here's the other thing that was confirmed to me is Field never set up a Children's Crusade fund. However, I did find evidence that he had directed money towards Timmy's platform. It's still on his Twitter feed. You can find it on his Twitter feed under Field McConnell. You can still find it. It's still there. He was pushing any donations for the Children's Crusade to go to Tim. So maybe...
Did Randy ever mention Sarah Dunklin to you?
The Sarah Dunklin thing was not That was before
You got involved?
involved with them. That was more stuff. I was working more with Jafani back then with the Sarah Dunklin stuff. So I'm not. Wasn't she involved in that phone call about taking out Denise too? Wasn't there something?
Yes. Sarah, she was. She was actually supposed to be on the board of the Children's Crusade with Timothy Holmseth.
See, I think maybe Field may have known stuff before he even got involved in this, because, it's hard to say. I can't speak for Field. Field's a very complex man, actually, but there's so many scenarios to this. And I believe that if Field was aware, he set them all up. You know what I mean?
Did Randy ever mention involvement in like anti-CPS?
Yes.
groups?
No. Okay. So, okay. She was on a CPS hotline though. That's in her Kirsten W letter. There's a link to that in the video too. The Kirsten W letter. So she was on the hotline. So that's like, to me, like, those are whistleblower traps. Like, I know about this stuff. A lot of times they'll put somebody that's working, say, for like one of the big traffickers, like Hillary Clinton. Okay. So she would be positioned in a place to trap any whistleblowers that could potentially cause them grief. Right. So I believe that that's, if in fact she was even on CPS, if that's even true, you know what I mean? So I don't there's so many things about Randy that's nefarious that I still am wrapping my head around. Like, all these are, okay, so everything that I'm throwing at you are all just thoughts. I have no concrete evidence to back this. These are just theories that spin in my head, right? So I'm putting them out there. Maybe other people will dig on them, right? That's what I'm hoping.
Did Randy ever ask you for money?
No. No, Randy used to brag to me about how rich she was. How she pays for everything.
I think Truth Punisher has said that she has sent Randy money that was for Tim.
Well, Randy gets all the money. Tim gets none of it. So, especially now, think about that. If she has his, power of attorney over him, yeah, she's getting it all. She's creating this. They're creating this. I believe that they're sending their own threats to themselves to create that victimhood. Because it's very profitable.
I agree with that.
Can be very, very profitable, right?
Yep.
That's why I don't take any money. I've never taken a dime for any of the work I do. I do this. People can come down on me, but I do this my own time. I don't ask for anything, right? So, I mean, they do ask for money. And you get a few bleeding hearts like Truth Punisher, and, you can get a few hundred of those lined up. You got a nice little chunk coming in, right? But in the meantime, look at all the people that they're trying to attack. Linwood, Rudy Giuliani, Michael Flynn. I mean, these are all good people. You know what I mean? I don't care what side of the political. They've all done good work that you can tell them by their fruit, right? They have good fruit. You know what I mean? These are not nefarious people, and the attacks are, it's very coordinated and very,
Well, Timmy has been attacking law enforcement since way back in the Haley Cummings days, especially law enforcement where he lived.
Yeah.
And that's it. He attacked the state attorney general at the time, and she was a Republican. He attacked the local police that was investigating the Haley Cummings disappearance. And there's a record of him attacking virtually every law enforcement agency in the country, from local right on up to federal.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I read it. I know. I read it in the court. Oh, I read the court files. That was awful to read. Well, here's the thing. He sends a letter off to, what he does is he sends these letters out to people with his complaint, his 800-page complaint, and all of his screenshots and all of his photocopies and clips from his book and the he said, she said, and all the bullshit, right? And how credible he is. And then when they don't respond or they ignore him because it's like, oh my God, this guy's a nut, he takes it as they're involved. And instantly they are culpable and they are traffickers too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the pattern that I saw.
Yeah.
So, and so he's getting himself into trouble, and he wonders why once in a while, like, it's like, you know, a bear swatting somebody that's coming to bug them, right? Like, you can get swat down once in a while. But nobody, he's something else. He really is. He just assumes that everybody's dirty. And Cobra Stobbs planted that seed. He's still living by that original seed that was planted in his head right from the beginning. You know? So that's how controllable he is, how controlled he's been, how easily he's manipulated. But I think he likes that role. I think he likes that. I'm a poor guy. Come be a mummy. Come be, you know, take care of me. Pay attention to me. Rub my belly, right? You know what I mean? It's like when I went through the files, I was like, oh my God, this is like, I was like, oh my gosh, you know?
Does Randy let Timothy have contact with his kids, our family?
Okay, so the last I heard, so there was a trip last summer that I heard of that Tim went on. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I think it may have been from the summer before. I honestly don't think that Randy's been in contact physically with him for a year. I really don't.
What do you think spurred that? Why do you think that happened?
Again, I think somebody stepped in. I do think somebody stepped in. This is what I have. Oh wow. Sorry. Keep that up for a second, Mert. I believe that Tim might have been in danger. And maybe he got plucked and that freaked Randy up, because I'm telling you, the narrative has gone completely toileted out since in the last little while, since like Tim's gone and I've left, and you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like they can give him information and he could be a creative writer, which is what he is. I believe that like she was controlling it by feeding the information to him from different sources, and then he would write. We let Timmy do the writing, but she's telling them what to write. You know what I mean? She's letting him do the creative writing, but she's giving him the information. She's gatekeeping, right? So I did notice a difference after fall of like 2020. I noticed that there was a change in the writing style, and I noticed that the work started to get really shoddy, if that makes any sense. Like the quality went down. They lost the creative writer is what they had done. You know what I mean? So that's in my opinion. Again,
I don't think Randy can write.
Oh, she can't. Randy can't even research. She's shitty at connecting dots. I'm so smart. I'm in this. Here's the thing. You cannot be in the Q movement. Okay. I know I like the Q movement because it's more information. For me, I was already doing this before Q ever arrived, but I just like to read it because it's more information for me, right? It's like, but I read mainstream media and I read documents and I read white pages and I read reports, right? Here's the thing. Randy didn't want to do any of that work. She didn't want to do the research. So she depended on other people to do the research for her, which left her completely unable to connect the dots. Like Tim, can't connect the dots correctly. Gets the information, doesn't know how to interpret it, right? So she would depend on people like me to interpret the information for her, because I have that ability, because I've done all the work. I've done the research. And if I can't interpret it, I'll go dig into it until I can. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so she was dependent on people like me, and I don't know how many of me's she had. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how many she had. I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, but I do research. Like I don't just put information out without researching it. You know what I mean? But yeah, again, this is, it's speculation on my part in so many ways, but I'm just creating what I see. This is just what I see. This is my interpretation of what was going on only, right? Like There was a lot of stuff that was hidden, but I know that people like David Straight had walked away from them. I saw it. I don't have like 100% like proof of it, but it was in the conversations. Things what she would slip up and say, especially if she was upset, she would slip up and say things, right? That she shouldn't have. She'd slip up and think that I didn't catch it, but I did. I caught a lot of stuff, right? So, and I just kind of
I think you posted some messages where she said that everybody has
abandoned Tim.
abandoned Timothy but her.
Yeah. Yeah. They all have. Okay, here's the thing too. Like David's like, you guys stopped using David like last spring, a year ago. David Straight got in touch with Randy and said, you need to stop saying Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. Because, you know, somebody just showed up at my house with a loaded gun or something to that effect, okay? Like, chill out, you know? And instead of them chilling out, they doubled down on it. They doubled down on the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. What's happened since? I believe he's completely cut his ties with them. And because they went into also the war correspondent and Millennia's, you know, task force. And they changed the name probably in hopes that he would reconnect with them. But I don't think, you know what I mean?
Do you think they'll turn on David Straight?
They already are turning. If you look at Gab, they're already starting to turn on him. Again, it's the same pattern. As soon as somebody's had enough of their shit, okay, I'm done, they turn on them. They did it to Chris Hallett. They did it to Kirk Pendergrass. They did it to Field McConnell. You know what I mean?
But now they publicly support Pendergrass.
Well, I'm telling you, he doesn't like them, so.
I know.
He got dragged into this too. I mean, people can paint him to be a bad guy, but he was deceived like the rest of us. So, you know what I mean? He's got a, you know, probably got a little bit of an axe to grind over that. You know? Everybody, we all got deceived. That isn't like, I mean, you know what I mean? You guys didn't, but we all did. You know what I mean? We all fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, right? So.
It's preaching to the choir, like I said earlier, that Timmy and Randy and all of them conveniently went after those that believed in the narrative and played on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, Neely Blanchard is not mentally there, and they are planning on using the innocent by reason of insanity defense in her case.
Okay, I'll tell you something about that, okay? So, let me tell you a little story around this. So, I'm not like close to Kirk, but I have talked to him. I would consider him my friend, okay? And I was in some of his chats, like on his Kirk's Law Corner, because I've been studying a lot of this stuff. I like to know, right? I like information. I do tons of stuff. But I couldn't get into the account one day, and I thought that it might have been him, but I was also saying to Randy, it's probably my electronics. It's probably something. I got to get in touch. And then she started going, no, he does this to everybody. She starts saying to me, he locks everybody out. He's narcissistic. He did this to Shannon. And she had me convinced that he'd done it to me. And I actually even said to her, yeah, he locked me out. She took that screenshot and used that as an excuse to contact Kirk. What the hell are you doing? Locking Paula out because he wasn't talking to her, right? So she used me as an excuse, and then I was like, oh my God, she just played me. I was like, oh my God, she just played me. I can't believe it. So Kirk got in touch with me. What the hell happened? I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I wouldn't say that. I didn't, I didn't. I was manipulated into thinking that he did it, right? And I was like, oh my God, that bitch got me, right? And then so I apologized to Kirk, and I was like, oh. But what she did is she used that excuse because what she was trying to do, she told me, where she was trying to convince Kirk that he needed to go help Neely Blanchard. That's what she told me. But meanwhile, she said, I'm not going to that courthouse. If I go there, I'm going to get killed. But she wanted to send Kirk down. So that I thought that was really, really weird. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So who is Randy Erickson, right? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm telling you, there's something about her. I believe she's involved with somebody. Maybe they had her by blackmail through the real estate stuff, but she's, in my honest assessment, she's as dirty as they come. She's dirty. I believe that she was there to take down the whole load of them, and I think that she did a damn good job. You know what I mean?
Did Randy ever mention Sarah Westall?
Yes, actually. Sarah was a little bit supportive of Tim, but she was also weary of the narrative too, right? Mm-hmm. She did a little digging and she backed off, and then she interviewed Craig Sawyer, and they were pissed. And she was like, I can't believe she turned on Tim. Well, she's a journalist. She's going to interview anybody. It's not when you're in journalism, it's not a whose side you're on, right? Do you know what I mean? I was like, okay. So she turned on Sarah Westall too. And now Tim hates her as well, according to Randy. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. So, because I think Sarah caught on like I did, and just went, whoa, this is like really weird, and backed up. Same with Daniel Lee. He caught on that Randy was in control of the narrative, and she attacked him too. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So who is Randy Erickson, right? I question that, right? So, I mean, I know Tim's just a puppet boy, and he's getting passed around like a friggin'...
Do you think Randy is by herself, running around?
No, I think that she's got help because she's running too many accounts for it to just be her. And sometimes you can laugh at you about this. Sometimes it was like there was a stranger in the room with us. It was like somebody else because they didn't know things that we just talked about. It's like, you know what I mean? Him and I picked up on that, eh? So, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, hard to say, right? I think she's as dirty as they come, and I think that she's not alone. Do you think she and
Timothy are using like fake names or fake IDs?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm convinced that Tim's not even with her, eh? I'm seriously convinced that he's not. I think she's just panicking and trying to wing it, and now that she's lost all of her, the work is not the work reflects it. Not that Tim's work was accurate, but there was a style to his videos and there was a style to his writing. I believe he's gone. And Lynn Wood said that too. He believes it's a psyop. And everybody's calling Tim out. They want proof of life. They want him to do an interview. You know, and I think everybody's onto it. And that's why I say that I said that in January. I have it on a video. I threw Tim a life raft just in case before I investigated all this. She put him in some institution somewhere? You know what I mean? Or has he been plucked for his own safety? Because again, people can say, oh, what makes Tim so valuable? All life is valuable to the good guys, okay? So, like, we're not even going to go there. You know what I mean? If somebody's in danger and, like, somebody sees something, you know, even if it's a false story and he's full of shit, they're not going to want to see him harmed. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so isn't that the most dangerous? Oh, what did Kim just say there? I missed that. Yeah, fake news is very dangerous. Maybe the good guys pulled him off to stop him from writing all the crap. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's so many possibilities. Okay,
well, somebody's running the camera. It could be or it could be Randy or someone that's with Tim. Because Timmy is not alone when he does those selfies. Because
he's not alone. But Timmy has no friends. Remember that, like Timmy.
No, he has controllers. Controllers, watchdogs, whatever you want to call them.
Did you ever talk to Timothy on the phone?
No, she wouldn't let me. I heard him in the background once because he was talking through her. And that's really funny because I'm not going to say who it was, but I was talking to one of Field's people that are really close, and he mentioned to me, this was like the summer of 2020. Don't you find it interesting that she goes, isn't it how interesting how she doesn't let him out of her sight? She's always with him, you know. I didn't even catch it then. I didn't. Maybe God kept me blind on purpose because so I can expose it. Because I did see things and I did pick up on things that nobody else could have because I was in there, right? So, you know, maybe that's why it worked out the way. I always believe that there's a bigger plan when, you know what I mean?
Did Randy ever talk about going back home to her husband?
She said, I can't go back home because they're after me. I have to keep him safe. I don't like, it's weird. They think she's nuts. I think she got herself into a pickle now. I think she has regrets. Like, you know, I think she's been backed into a corner now. And I think it's just all
Did she ever talk about her grandchildren?
Yes. Yes, she did, actually. The couple times she did see them, not very often though. Her daughter, the last I heard, was trying to keep her away from her kids or something. They was that bad. Like she was like, they were like, her kids were starting to go, yeah, get lost, mom. You know what I mean? But she has to maintain some sort of a relationship because of that family trust that she set up. That's not in her name, right? So
did I wonder if her kids ever met Timothy?
They did because she moved him into her house for a few months first.
Did she mention what they thought of him?
She always said that everybody likes Timmy, but Tim comes across like a very humble. That's the thing, because Tim believes his own bullshit. He comes across like an honest man. Do you know what I mean? He believes he's a hero. He believes that the stuff that he's written is accurate. He believes in himself. Believe in me. I'm with the high. And Randy keeps telling him, pumping up his ego, you're so godly. You are this. You're like the best writer ever. Like, I'm serious. It's like beyond gross how much she pumps him up. That's intentional. That keeps him doing what she wants. That's part of the control, right? So it's insane. It really is.
Isn't it crazy how Randy developed such a hatred of Kim Bocasio?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too, right? This is okay. So let's go here for a minute. See, if I put out the information on Patch Adams, okay, that completely debunks the Bocasio story. Because when I put out what I know on all the connections that I've connected to that, you're going to see what I think it's going to be very telling as to why she hates Kim. I think that she's doing it intentionally because if the truth comes out about Kim, that she's like not a bad person, then boom, we've gone past that barrier. Like Kim's like the dam, you know what I mean? You get past that fake news story and you get beyond that and you realize that Kim is not bad. Right behind Kim is that's not even attached to Kim, so that's a bad choice of words. So the other side of this is the truth. So she's got to keep the hatred of Kim so that people won't dig into what I just dug into. Yeah, and expose what I just found. So it's gatekeeping, right? So let's keep the focus on I believe Kim's innocent in all this. I'm just telling you. That's my belief. If I was on a jury, based on all the information that I read, and everybody asked me if she's guilty or not guilty, I would have to say not guilty. And that's no feelings involved in that. Like, I don't even know Kim. I don't even know her. That would be a not guilty for me based on the evidence and everything that I read. Just saying. You know what I mean?
Did she ever talk about Kathy McKaylee?
No, I've never even heard that name.
Yeah, Kathy McHaley was a big supporter of Timothy. I think she still may be. And she was a big supporter of Phil McConnell, too. And Randy wouldn't let Kathy have any contact with Tim anymore.
Probably because Kathy knew stuff as well. She's a gatekeeper, like I said. She wouldn't let me. I said, well, that's what I was saying when I have Tim call me. We need to talk. Because I'm a strong person. I would have set Tim straight on a lot of his theories really fast. You know what I mean? She didn't want anybody talking to Tim because, I mean, Tim was off with his thinking, but I believe he was manipulated. He's very easily manipulated. That's what people don't understand. That's what, very easily manipulated. And now he's got a hatred for like Kim because he thinks that he's now, even though he began the attacks, in his mind, he's telling the truth. So when he puts the truth out, which he believes, because he's believing all his bullshit, which was originally dictated to him by Cobra Stobbs, so he believes he's telling the truth. And when he attacks and when everybody attacks him back because they don't believe him, then all of a sudden he's the victim. And then that feeds that's why the victim cycle is so toxic, right? It's like the sick cycle with him. Anybody that, and then you get involved with him for a while and it's like, holy crap, man, this guy is like full of it. And I mean, it took me a little while longer because I was working. I was really busy. That's why I wasn't that in touch, right? But, I didn't have the time to do the research. Well, I did do the research, but she was gatekeeping it too, right? So that was a big red flag for me, right?
Well, Paula, I got to jump off of here. Thanks, Mert, for having me on, and thanks, Paula, for answering my questions.
Thanks,
you have a good
Levi,
night.
no problem.
Thank you, Levi, for coming on. Okay.
No, I think that went pretty good. Hey,
Yeah, well, it's as long as everybody's honest with each other and civil, we're going to be able to
figure it out.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
The truth is a hard thing to tell, and I noticed from the chat that there's still people that hold grudges, and believe me, I went through the exact same thing.
Okay, I'm good.
Because, again, the story is similar, because when I started being friends with Kim Pacazio, Levi Page, Alex Goddard, and some other people who were my bitter enemies back in the day, I got really criticized for it.
Yeah.
But, and I tried to convince people back then that, look, we were all played, all sides, by this one individual from Georgia. And there's a lot of friends out there that I've lost permanently because of everything that happened. But people change, we wake up, and we realize that it's the truth in the end that is going to save us all. And that's what
sets us free, right? Like, again, we don't, you and I are on polar opposite sides to a lot of stuff, but on this one, you know what? I'm telling you, 8 months ago, I never thought I would have never believed that I would be in this position.
Truth, it's the ultimate truth comes out at the strangest times.
Yeah.
Because I still, I understand Field's viewpoints. I strongly disagree with them. I strongly disagree with his actions, but at the same time, a lot of what happened to Field was because of Randy and Tim.
Exactly.
Because Bill McConnell never heard of Kim Pacazio until they brought it up. And the money issue came up because Field actually wanted to take Timmy's books, have him autograph them, and take them to a function down in Texas. And this was just before he got in trouble with the law and was shipped off to jail and then down to Florida. So the damage is there, and there are people that in this room that are not going to forgive you, just like I wasn't forgiven in some of the stuff that happened.
I'm not
in the
looking
past.
for forgiveness. I've made my amends. That's the rest. That's on them now. I'm doing the right thing. You know, I
Well, we let the past be the past,
yeah,
and hopefully, as things happen down the road, maybe people can start to calm down. Now, Sharp is going to have their opinion, and that's fine. Um, so, it's going to happen. But there, there are thousands of cases like this all over the internet of people that get involved in these situations, find out that they've been deceived, and when they start to turn the corner and say, enough, I'm coming out with the truth, they get criticized over their past actions. It's just human
yeah,
nature. You can't get over it. And hopefully, at a bare minimum, this is at least going to shed the light of truth on what's going on with Timmy, Randy, and the people surrounding them with these things they're doing on BitChute and these other
yeah,
social medias.
yeah. I'm telling you, everybody that was around, he's lost everybody. He's lost Field, he lost Kirk, he lost Chris, they've lost David Strait, they've lost me. Sarah Westall walked away. You know, I'm telling you, it's a pattern there, you know. So
Yeah, and it's going to be one person at a time is going to have to decide where they're going to go with all this. Are they going to abandon him? Are they going to stay with him? Or are they going to be in the middle somewhere? And so it's an evolution that's going to take time to happen, but it is happening. People are beginning to understand what is really going on.
yeah,
And there's been some major milestones. I mean, Randy has lost her legal cases with Greg Sawyer.
yeah,
The summary judgment hearing is coming up, and then the attorneys for Craig Sawyer are going to start the search and seizure process. So there's going to be a lot of things going on over the coming months. And as this
yeah,
stuff comes out and people learn about it, they're going to understand that Randy is not who she says she is. Timmy is not who he says he is. Because, as they begin to understand that Donald Trump has never heard of either one of these people,
he has, and I don't think.
and, and there is no results. They have
Yeah,
not done anything except post crap, for the lack of a better word.
yeah, like yeah, that's it.
Well, Paula, I do appreciate you coming in. I think probably it's time for all of us to get some
I agree.
rest.
I think it was good. I'm sorry, I was listening for that. I actually was chiming in. I didn't even think that I wasn't being heard, but whatever. We got cut off for like 20 minutes or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
That is a technical thing that happens. It's happened on my show.
Yeah,
It's one of these things that technology is a weird thing. We're dependent on StreamYard for our feeds into YouTube.
yeah,
And if there's a breakdown anywhere along those lines, or if an individual's um, stuff breaks down, it's just one of these things. It happens to everybody from the big guys down to the little me's.
yeah.
Um, and I appreciate the comments, people. I am going to say my goodbye to Paula. I appreciate you coming in. You're welcome at any time. And I do look forward to your second part. I would encourage people to watch her video
Yeah,
and watch it over and over again, because there's a boatload of information in there.
there
And
is. I mean, you have to read. There's layers. I layered it too, so
mm-hmm,
you have to kind of read behind what's going on, because otherwise it would have been 4 hours long if I didn't layer it
yeah,
like that.
mm-hmm, yeah, it's
So,
best
and
to
there
break
was a
it up a
lot of the
little bit.
stuff that I didn't want to read out loud to be respectful. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I was trying to be respectful to people. So, the next one is, so like, to me, it's like full forward into what she was gatekeeping for me at this stage, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and if I find anything out, I mean, I said it the whole time, like Randy was debunking Tim, and Randy was my primary goal, and
Mm-hmm.
I've always maintained that. I'm not I don't even want to attack them. I just don't even
I
care
think
about them.
Randy's the key to a lot of things.
I think Randy's a bigger player than people realize, eh?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and 107 warned him. He said, look, they're going to deploy. They've deployed, 107 said they've deployed assets before. They're going to do it again. And even the decode. I mean, I know you guys think the decodes are nuts, but they do play out. I do use them because I know that they use them. Do you know what I mean? That's the only reason why I do it, because I know that they use those one-liners as so that you'll get the message, right? But and 107's been saying it the whole time. He's been saying there's a problem, Houston. We have a problem with. But he never said what it is. He wants people to figure it out for themselves, and I think I have. But I think I definitely think that Randy's part of something bigger. That's my belief.
Well, keep digging, and we're all going to be anxious to see what comes up in part 2. And so with that, I'm going to bid you good night. And
yeah, have a great night. Thank you for having me, and thank you everybody for listening. Again, I was deceived. I'm trying to make up for it. I'm trying to do the right thing. I do apologize to everybody. I have. I feel terrible. But from here we go forward, right?
That's correct. Well, you have a good night, Paula. And
God bless everybody.
All right, good night.
Okay, good night. Bye.
All right, everybody. So that was my interview with Paula. Now, I know from reading your comments you don't fully either trust her or believe her, but at a minimum, she had the courage to at least put this information out there for each and every individual to make up their own mind. That's all anyone can ask. I know Sharp has a lot of anger about Paula's past actions, and I can understand that. Because again, one of the reasons that I am here is because I went through the exact same thing. I was a target. People were reckless with me. A lot of things were said. And that's what Timmy and Randy are doing now. I am a target. Laurie's a target. Kim's a target. Craig Sawyer's a target. Even General Flynn and Lynn Wood are targets. I mean, the target list is building up in that camp. And because of that, it's, brick by brick by brick, the house is being dismantled around these people. But it's going to take time, and it's going to take time for people to decide whether or not they want the anger to remain. Now, Paula is someone that I've only recently learned about. I did not know that much about her until this situation with this video series came up. And I would suspect that all of you in here that are familiar with her have an axe to grind, which I understand. And should she correct some of the materials online and take down the blog articles that you mentioned here? I would say yes. But, that is up to her. She has to decide how she wants to move forward. But at least she is making the effort to clear things up, make up at some point what her sins of the past, as one might call them, are. And all we can do is at least take that information from her that we know is the truth and peel back the layers of this onion to find out exactly what is the truth here, and is there a way to put a stop to all of this so we can all move on with our lives and have some sense of peace, knowing that we are not going to have somebody out in the twilight zone go around calling us child traffickers, pedophiles, going around drinking chemicals, eating babies, making sacrifices, doing child trafficking, and all this other idiotic accusations that keep coming up. You know, I am not Whitey Bulger. I am not the guy on the bridge in Delphi, Indiana, and I'm not all these other things that have been said about me, and no, neither is anyone else. But getting people to understand this it's a hard thing to do, and it's going to take time. Now, I've been told not to be kind, but I have an attitude in life. You know, I have just a philosophy and a way I do things. And I believe if someone is at least trying, I'm going to be what you would call kind to them. Paula is trying to right a wrong. Now, she is probably pissed off a lot of people. I can tell by Sharp's attitude tonight that there is an extreme amount of anger. It's probably justified. But what I have learned personally is to carry around this degree of anger does more harm than good. It makes you depressed. It makes you cynical. It does all sorts of things, and sometimes it's best to, if not let it go, at least mellow it out a little bit. Now, I sense, Sharp, that you have a lot of issues with her, that you have had experiences in the past, and your opinions of her may never change. And that's the way things are. I told myself that there were people that I would never ever forgive because of what was done to me years ago. But as the truth about things beginning to come out, I realized that to keep this kind of anger permanent is not healthy for me. It's not healthy for what I do in my life. It's just not healthy, period. At some point, we got to say, fine, we may not like this person, we may not trust this person, we may not want to associate with this person, but we have to learn to put the past in the past and deal with it on a different level. And yes, Sharp, I know you will take care of yourself. People deal with things themselves, and you cannot dictate to people what they are going to do with your life and your experiences and what you feel about an individual. And righteous indignation is probably justified in a lot of things, but don't make it the top of the pedestal, the all-consuming time of your life. You know, start to look at the positive too. You can keep whatever thoughts you have about someone and then just don't dwell on it. Just move forward and say whatever, you know. But this is something each and every one of us has to make up individually. It's going to be our decision individually instead of this stuff. And yeah, my argument has been a true Christian does not go around making false accusations. I don't consider Tim Holmseth a true Christian. I don't consider Randy Erickson a true Christian. And all these people over on Telegram and Gab and so forth are not true Christians because they go after people knowing that they're lying about them. Well, Levi, I hope so. I would like to see her arrested. She is committing crimes, and she needs to be brought to justice. She needs to be made to realize that what she did was wrong. It's against society as a whole, and she needs to stop it. And she needs to be held accountable for her actions in the past. The lawsuit with Craig Sawyer is part of it, and I understand there are other legal actions in the works after all this stuff gets resolved with Craig, and so this is going to be going on for a long time. Well, Kim, I understand your anger, and it's justified. You went through a hell of a lot more than I ever did. You were violated in ways that I can't even imagine by some little punk who just wanted to make a name for himself and did it in the most vile way that I've ever seen on the internet. This is the epitome of an internet smear campaign that you went through and that you are still going through. I think you and Sharp are on the same wavelength when it comes to this. And it's hard to, say let bygones be bygones, and I haven't quite done that. I mean, personally, Kim, the things that I went through back at the beginning of this decade. And there are people out there that know what they did to me and others. And at some point, I made my individual decisions with each person. And that's all you can do. But I am me. I'm not Sharp. I'm not any of these other people. They're going to do their process of everything based on their own attitude and personality, and there's nobody that's going to tell them what to do. All that can be done here is to present the facts, opinions, and consider the source of all this, and then make our own individual decisions. I have said this about me. I don't expect anyone in this room to agree with me, believe me, or what have you. You have to judge my I lost the word there, but it's, am I believable? Am I not believable? Am I honest? Am I dishonest? You have to make that decision on your own and decide. I'm not gonna demand that you do it. I'm not gonna say that I'm some special person that knows all the answers. I don't. Not even close. I'm just an individual with a forum such as this, and all I can do is give my opinion, my story, and the rest is up to you. And I guess the same would go with Paula. I put the story out there because she volunteered it. When I looked through the video, I saw some information on there that I figured would be best brought to light in this small corner of the internet world. I'm not a big site. I don't have a lot of users. My viewers per night is not bad, but it's relatively small. But, we are a closed group here. We all discuss things. We decide on our own and go from there. Catherine Margaritaville was arrested. I don't know his current situation. He had issues in Canada and got in trouble up there. And he, I don't know if he's still in jail or not, but he's something of a piece of work. And he made claims regarding Field McConnell. And I kind of hard to read him because he, on one side, he was mad at Field because he said Field stole the idea of the Children's Crusade. And on the other side of it, he thought that maybe Field was getting a bad rap, and then he tried to intervene in the Florida case to see if there could be some kind of compromise and all that. And it just, he's just out there. And I don't hear a lot about Margaritaville, so yeah, I get your point, Kim. And this is the whole purpose of what happened. They go around recruiting people that agree with each other. And this yeah, you go over to the BitChute and there's 30-some thousand people on there, and we don't know whether or not those numbers are real. I mean, are there 34,000 people? We don't know that. But yet, it's again, this is, once this damage takes place, it's hard to resolve it. And, it's just, I don't support Field. I told her in conversations she had before I brought her on the air that I don't support Field, and this is what we meant when we said we don't agree with each other. But at the same time, I feel that Field could have possibly continued if he had not got mixed up with Tim Holmseth. That regardless of what anybody thinks of his shenanigans, that he could have continued for at least some more time with his stuff that he was doing. And he may have been reunited with his wife before she passed away if it had not been for Tim Holmseth and that crowd. I agree, Rebecca. The damage is done. It's like, the damage has been done to all of us by what Randy and Tim have done and what they have done to others. Well, Kim, I feel the same way. I do not support Field McConnell. I did not like what he did to you during this whole situation. And the thing of it is, there are always going to be people that support Field, regardless of what happened between you and him during this whole fiasco. It's one of those things where someone is going to always have that one person that will blindly support him. Now, he has her reasons for following and supporting Bill McConnell, and just have to live with it. But we can at least benefit from the information. Information is information, truth is truth. She's providing information that we fully did not understand. She gave us an insight into how Randy Erickson thinks, how Randy Erickson got her claws into Timothy, and how a lot of this stuff went down. And, opinions are not going to change. I don't expect Sharp to change their opinion. And there are other people that fall in line with Sharp, and as does Kim. And, they have to, they've lived through stuff and they decide on their own what they want to do. I reserve judgment. The only thing I can do is at least thank Paula for bringing this stuff out. Like her or hate her, we've got information that came to light, and hopefully somebody else outside the circle of this dispute will learn from it and turn away from people like Kim and like Tim and like Randy and some of these other people, and even like Field McConnell. That there's a lot of strange people running around on social media spreading this crap. and, need to put a stop to it. Now, Paula, in her actions in the past, has damaged herself beyond repair with a lot of people. There may be some people that can, roll back their opinion of her, but there's people that never will. That is the cost one pays for getting involved in this kind of activity, and to the degree where they are trashing innocent people with some of the garbage that's been put out there. And this is what we run into. Ron DeSantis signed the extradition papers that brought Field McConnell to Florida. The thing of it is, Ron DeSantis really didn't have a choice. He had to follow the law. There are agreements between the state of Florida and the state of Wisconsin, and there's procedures that, each state follows. The charges against Field McConnell came out of the state of Florida, and so the state of Florida had jurisdiction over the case. Wisconsin basically had to extradite him. Now, could he have fought it a little bit longer? It's hard to say. You get into this quarterbacking of what could have been or should have been, but the facts are facts. He was extradited to Florida, and the case ran its course, and Field basically got a pretty good deal out of all this. He was able to go home. He's enjoying himself now, and he just has to live with the terms of his agreement that he made with the court and go on with his life. Yeah, you're probably right, Kim. It's hard to judge. I mean, we're listening and talking to somebody over the internet. We're not there in front of them across from a table where we can judge their actions and truly read their emotions. So you really don't know. But again, at the bare minimum, a lot of information came out tonight, and she has at least turned against Tim and Randy. She's not supporting them. And so there's that. You kind of salvage what you can of a bad situation and adapt as best you can to it. And if you don't forgive and you don't forget, I understand. You and I both have been down this road about things that have been done to us and things we went through for the things that happened back during the Kaylee Anthony and eventually the Haley Cummins situation. There's common ground there. So we went with that. So. Well, Sharp, as some of you may know, I have a philosophy. The only person I trust is myself, and sometimes I have a problem with myself, so I don't trust myself either. You keep your friends close, and you keep your enemies close and your friends closer, because as we have learned from history, there are times when it's our friends that betray us and friends that do the most damage. I had 3 women and an administrator of my Pal Talk chat back in the Kaylee Anthony cases. And every single one of these individuals I trusted. And every single one of them betrayed me. All because a woman was the sister of a confessed pedophile. And everything that happened at that point on is well known in history because it's the stuff Tim Holmseth uses against me on a daily basis. I would not allow a woman to defend her sister and say that 2 children that testified in court that they saw her having sex on the table in front of them with their father liars, even though there was photographic evidence to prove that the act occurred. And I said, no, you can't do that. You're not going to use my chat room for that. And they gave out my login information, my passwords and everything to members of 4chan, and one individual in particular by the name of Monoxide MMAC. And so all these chats and the weird phone calls and everything came out of that incident. So yeah, Sharp, she probably is. My name is hated on Telegram and BitChute and Gam and everywhere else, and on Twitter. You know, the hate for her, probably justified. Can you do something like she is accused of doing and then suddenly say, well, her bad, I forgive her? No. Because some of these wounds are too deep to forgive, and I understand that. I do not criticize anyone here about what they think about Paula and her past actions. The only thing I did is I gave a platform to promote her video so that people can watch it and take from it what they will, but I cannot or will not tell you all how to deal with Paula from this day forward. That's up to all of you. Uh-oh, Kim, does that mean I'm still in trouble? I feel the same way, Kim. I don't understand how people can believe in this nonsense. I mean, there's been a decade of this crap, and you would think that even if we're politically different in the widest terms out there, how can people believe the kind of crap we see over on these channels? It amazes me. It really does. It should have been obvious from the onset that Tim and Randy are full of it, that they are the biggest liars on the internet, that none of this stuff is true, and none of it's possible, but people soak it up like a sponge, and the money just flies out the window. I mean, they're making thousands upon thousands of dollars off of ignorant, gullible people. That's about as honest as you can say. Well, you know what, Kim? I wish at some time that you and I would go on and have a similar discussion and you can point out exactly where she was wrong on everything. Because I think a perspective on this would help. Because, I did express that there were things that were inaccurate and wrong. Nobody's perfect at this sort of thing. I don't know if I could have done a better job even experiencing some of this stuff. But it's an effort at minimum. But I wish that if it is possible sometime down the road that you and I come on the air and do the same thing, and you can go through point by point what you feel is inaccurate or downright wrong, so that an accurate picture is given to people of exactly what happened to you and to others during this torment that Tim Holmseth pushed upon everybody. And now is being pushed on with the help of Randy and those involved in whatever this group is that's out there. What on earth is this about? Well, that's one of those things that, I disagree with her on that. I think that's silly. But the problem is, see, this is how Timmy roped these people in, because it's people with this mindset that they look for. They say, oh, we got these people that believe JFK Jr.'s alive. Let's go, put them up on the pedestal. Let's get them in our support group. And then they get sucked in, and eventually they realize that they were played and made a fool of, and now she's having to come out with the truth, and she has this record out there of her actions, the things she believes in, and that's a price she's going to have to pay for a long, long time. Yeah, see, these rumors about a boss being put away for 30 years or 50 years, it's all this stuff that seems to be I don't know how to describe it. It's just outright lies. Mert brought in the porn at the end of his show. What on earth are you talking about, Kim? What's the porn? Are you playing mind games with me? All of a sudden I'm the porn king. Of course, Timmy's already called me the porn king, so what the heck? What article is that? I mean, you can say, yeah, there's an article out there, but let's have a link. Oh, that stupid thing. I reported that. Yeah, that's probably Randy advertising her business. So let's see. Block user. And block user. See, now I'm getting big enough that people are starting to advertise porn on my channel. You're getting in the big time when people start spamming your channel with porn. What an achievement. Yeah, I thought I kicked that one out of here. But apparently they decided to come in. But, you ought to see over on BitChute. Those people get spammed all the time over there. Half of Timmy's channel on BitChute is spam. And, all these other channels over there are getting spammed. Too big for your pants, Mert. I don't know how to take that. I am getting a little porky. Yeah, too much home cooking or something, I guess. I don't know. I don't get enough exercise. That's what it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's the usual. I've been around the internet for decades. I'm used to seeing all kinds of weird stuff. It's the price we pay for fame, I guess. So I'm getting famous enough to have porn advertised on my channel. Hell of an achievement. But well, I'll tell you what. I think I'm going to call it so everybody can get some sleep. Maybe some of the angry people here can calm down a little bit. I do appreciate the way you people conducted yourselves tonight. The show went a hell of a lot better than I thought. I thought we were going to get into a real screaming match here, and people made their feelings known justifiably. I don't fault um, people at all about their feelings that they have about Paula in all this. These people are speaking from personal experience, so I appreciate Sharp's comments. I respect Sharp's feelings. I respect everybody's feelings in here, and especially that of Kim, because she's had the worst of all of this. And I'm really glad that Kim has come out of this to some extent. I mean, there's always going to be that damage there in the back of her mind that you can never get rid of. But, tomorrow is another day away from the past, and it's also tomorrow is a day to look forward to new and better things. Thanks for the congratulations, Kim, I guess. But again, thank you everybody for coming in. Thanks for putting up with this 3.5 hour marathon. And again, I thank Paula for coming in. In spite of what you think of her, this was a courageous thing she did. She did give us some information, and we'll see what happens as days pass. Now, I do plan on coming on tomorrow. I have a couple things I want to go over tomorrow, and so I will be on at 9 p.m. Same time, 9 p.m. Sunday night. So those of you who can make it in here, you're welcome to come in. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and share. And just stay tuned as I try and get the truth out there, at least to the point where we can start moving on to more constructive topics on this show. That we are, Kim, that we are. So until I see everybody again, have a good remaining weekend. Make your day a good one. And so long till tomorrow, to plagiarize an old talent. Bye-bye.